the first college football game of the season, the first Literacy Classic at Spartan Stadium, sold out today in San Jose. Grambling and San Jose State meeting for the first time in their history. With Bill Curry, Rod Gilmore, Alex Flanagan, I'm Dave Barnett. This is the first possession of the game and of the season for the Spartans. They ran the opening kickback 71 yards. Kendrick Starling had him set up, but they go for it now on 4th down and 7. And the swing pass is incomplete from Scott RISLOV. And Grambling celebrates a huge season and game opening stop.
That's a great beginning for them. You come all the way across the country to play on national television when you don't get a chance to do that very often, and you have something good happen after the bad start with the kickoff return. The defense gets the 4 and out, not the 3 and out. Now we get a chance to see their quarterback and their vaulted offense.
And Grambling right at the top of 1AA last year in scoring and in passing, and they bring back junior quarterback Bruce Eugene. He does not look like your stereotype signal caller at 6'1", 245. Officially, Doug Williams says he's actually 6 foot 260. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, and Doug says, I said, what do you think about him breaking all your records? He said, it's fine as long as we win. We don't win, we go to the wishbone. Let him run with it. And he can do that too, by the way.
Consensus All-America, SWAC Offensive Player of the Year last year. As coaches say, they figure he sees at least as much videotape as they do. Very well studied back there. And on the first play of the season, he will keep, and he can run faster than most defenders expected. 260-pounder to move back there. Knocked out of bounds after a gain to the 28-yard line. Let's look at the Budweiser backs and receivers for Grambling. Tolbert and Mays in the backfield. The top receiver in all divisions of college football last year was Tremont Douglas. 1,700 yards, 142 per game. He's joined by Colquitt and an impressive-looking tight end, all-conference a year ago, Gershon Jesse. Keeper went 3 yards, 2nd down and 7. And the first completion up to the 47-yard line. Henry Tolbert out of the backfield for a gain of 19 yards. And Grambling already on the move. Bud Light offensive line starters. Banks, Nunnery, Wright, Rogers, and Bennett. Bigger and even more athletic than a year ago when they were number 2 nationally in total offense, first in passing and scoring offense. San Jose State defensively just the opposite. 116th in the country against the pass, 115 total defense. They can only go up. Swinging it to the near sideline. Douglas has his first catch and a nice move after the grab before he's out of bounds after a gain of 15 yards at the 40. San Jose State with Ficklin, Green, Smith, and Perry, the front 4. This year, only 2 linebackers, Osai and Okumu, and they go with 5 DBs, figuring they're going to face mostly passing attacks in the WAC. This should mean fewer substitutions are necessary with George and Thompson at the corners and Powell, Wilson, and Jones, the 3 safeties. First-year defensive coordinator Chris Wilkerson has his work cut out, especially trying to keep track of Douglas today. And the pattern run inside by Calvin Colquitt. The throw by Eugene was thrown outside. This is a matchup of Doug Williams and Dr. Fitzhill in his 3rd year as the head coach of the Spartans. 39 years old, has his doctorate in education. One of only 2 head coaches in Division 1A with their doctorate.
An earned doctorate. There's a distinction between that and the other kind.
Just leave that out there. Can you name the other doctor head coach?
Yeah, Dr. Carolyn Curry.
No. She's a doctor, not a head coach.
Oh, yes, she told me she was.
5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Dan Romeo, our referee today.
You got to give us another clue, another hit there, Dave.
All right, from the Big 12.
Big 12, okay.
Big 12 South. So chew on that for a while. Meanwhile, Doug Williams at his alma mater, his 6th year, 43 wins. He's a 3-time Southwestern Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. This after his Super Bowl MVP career with the Washington Redskins. Out of the shotgun. They give it inside for Tolbert. And run down well from one of those 3 safeties, Gerald Jones. A second-team All-Western Athletic Conference pick last year with 8 interceptions. As a junior, he tied the school record, and he chased down TOLBERT.
A little bit of cat and mouse going on right now between the coaches. Grambling came out with 5 wide receivers. That time they went back to 4, kept a guy in the backfield because of the pressure San Jose State brought. Let's see now if San Jose State responds with additional guys on the pressure package.
They need 12 yards. With 28, the line to gain. And driven back for a huge sack for San Jose State. EUGENE brought down by Onyeka Osai, a loss of 10. The senior from here in San Jose comes in from outside linebacker.
Onyeka Osai coming in what we call the B gap between the guard and the tackle. There's no pickup for it. Very good defensive play calling by Chris Wilkerson. He lulled him in complacency playing zone. Came after him twice in a row, got 2 sacks.
So a promising drive. Ends in 4th and 22 for the Tigers. Sophomore from Atlanta, Darian Morgan, with the wind at his back. BROUSSARD returns and goes sideways. He gets absolutely nothing. A 33-yard punt for Grambling. Just underway from Spartan Stadium, scoreless in the Literacy Classic. I really don't care what the calendar says. August 23rd, by gum, that's football on my calendar, and it's always good to start a season. It seems it's earlier than ever, but I'm never looking at the calendar saying I'm not ready for football. I'm always ready for football.
Especially with some of the stuff off the field. It's wonderful to get on the field and have somebody like Doug Williams in the legendary status that he enjoys with Grambling State, bringing his team here because of Fitzhill and what he's doing. That's why we're having this game with a Literacy Bowl.
Yeah, Fitzhill is really one of the great stories in college football. An excellent coach who believes that you can use sports to achieve changes in society, and he's doing a great job of that. And that's why he has created this Literacy Classic. It's one of the issues he's concerned about in society, and what a great job he's done with that this season.
And because we're celebrating literacy here, we could not have Mike Golick on the broadcast, and we're so sorry. Mike, man, we miss you, big man, but when we get through with the literacy, we'll let you come back.
From the 15-yard line. Second possession, San Jose State. They did nothing with a 71-yard return of the opening kickoff, and they do nothing with a first down run by Staples up the middle.
Both offensive centers, Lance Wright for Grambling and Matt Cantu, are having a tough time with center quarterback exchange at various times. Cantu snapped the ball on the wrong count during the first drive, cost him a play. They were fortunate that they didn't fumble the football. So these are the kinds of things that take a while to get worked out.
Yeah,
Rod.
That's an early season thing.
Yeah.
I thought you might go there. I wondered if it was inexperience, but it's early.
Cantu has never. This is his first start. He's never played before, so he's a little tight.
Fake out of the shotgun, and BROUSSARD makes the catch, heads up field, and has a first down. A gain to the 29-yard line of 13, brought down there by Octavius Bond.
Coach, what Grambling State wanted to do defensively is make San Jose State catch the ball short. They don't want to get them down the field. They don't want them to throw intermediate routes. They want them to catch it and then come up and play, take them out of their rhythm. So far, they've been able to do that, but you got to believe San Jose State's going to try and take it deep soon.
Well, they will, because Grambling's going to dare them. Doug Williams was very candid with us yesterday. We know we're vulnerable to the bubble screens and sometimes the deep ball.
Grambling has not beaten a Division I-A school since 1985. Oregon State that year. They feel they are more than capable of coming in here to San Jose and ending that 18-year drought. Giannis Davis with his first carry as a Spartan, a true freshman from Oakland, the Alameda County Player of the Year. Giannis means Greek king. That's a lot to live up to.
That's an awful lot. He's got even more to live up to. Yeah. Who else went to that high school, Rod?
Skyline High School Titans. I know it well.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I
that's
went
your
there.
high school.
That's in Oakland,
California. Second best player ever to go there, Giannis?
I'm a little taller than he is.
Gain of 3. RISLOV out of the gun, shovel, plenty of room up the middle, and Davis still on his feet and across midfield.
Now Davis is a great story. This is a guy who's a freshman, as you mentioned, and they couldn't tackle him in practice, But the amazing thing about him is his history. This is a guy who was the first in his family to graduate from high school.
Wow.
The first in his family. So just think about what it means for his family and friends to see him playing for this San Jose State team as we look at Kendrick Starling, who's on the ground there.
Trainers are tending to Starling. Kendrick is one of the real leaders on the football team, and he took on a big linebacker, David Hicks, number 56 for Grambling State, and he's down. We have to hope that it's just something minor. Yeah, he's already up now. He's up. Yeah.
Kendrick Starling from Marshall, Texas, and began his college career at Marshall University. Holding his left thigh as he limps toward the sideline. One more look.
Shovel pass, better known as the Jack Curtis Utah pass years ago, is a nice way to take a safe forward pass. If it goes on the ground, it's not a fumble, it's just an incomplete pass.
Well, you see how the pass protection action opened up huge holes there.
Two tight ends from the 49-yard line. Staples back in, driven back. That's the second big hit already from Kenneth Petway, senior linebacker from Houston.
Studying last year's tape of the Grambling team against Texas Southern, particularly, Petway has marvelous acceleration. There are a lot of linebackers that will try to make this fill through an open gap and make the tackle and get outrun by the back. Petway is quick enough that he runs right by the blocker, number 70, Joe Hayes, and makes the play. He does that all the time. He's an excellent football player.
It may come as a surprise to some how many players Grambling has that were recruited by major powers. Petway, one of those, recruited by A&M, Texas. Decided to go to Grambling with all its great history. JAMALL BROUSSARD spinning near the first down marker, 11 yards, before Seneca Lee finally has the stop.
And that was actually poor play by the corner on the field side, because they knew they had a blitz coming from the short side, so the ball's going to come out quickly. As a corner, you have to understand that, and you have to stop and get in and be ready to make a play. Missed tackle here, good block, but the missed tackle results in 4 more yards. But when you have a blitz coming on, coach, as a corner, you know you've got to settle down and make a play quickly because the ball's going to come out in a hurry.
You also have the problem with that guy that's running deep right by your side.
The Spartans do better trying to keep this drive alive than their first one. 3rd and 2. This will work. Swing it out. Staples to the 35-yard line. Dropped there by Aaron Bridges. But the Spartans' second march going much better than their first when they had such great field position and did nothing with it.
Excellent ball handling. One of the much misunderstood and not understood skills in football is the capacity of a quarterback. RISLOV hides this football on his hip from the linebackers. The linebackers are frozen by the crossing action in the backfield. Perfect throw for the first down.
RISLOV's missed only one so far. But again, the running room is extremely difficult up the middle. Petway making sure that was another stop. And let's welcome the 4th member of our crew on the sidelines with us this afternoon, Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Dave. Well, Grambling State comes in today looking to knock off San Jose State, and the Tigers certainly have a resume worthy of an upset. The Tigers have been dominant under head coach Doug Williams, winning 3 Southwestern Athletic Conference championships and 3 straight National Black College championships. Adding to that, last season the Tigers led the country in scoring and passing. Grambling comes into today's game with a tremendous amount of energy because they know, Dave, what a win today here in San Jose would do for their program.
RISLOV looking deep, has a man open, caught by Tuavi Wooden. Another local product, 5th-year senior from here in San Jose, hauls it in for 17 yards. That's the best thrown ball yet by Scott RISLOV.
One of the hardest things to do defensively is to cover the inside guy on a slot because there's more room for him to make moves on you. You can't get in his face. He's got the ability to work inside or outside, and that time Wooden uses the ability to get outside and makes a nice over-the-shoulder catch. He does get his foot inside. Watch that. 1 foot down.
On first down, stuffed up the middle again.
What I like best about Tuavi Wooden is that he's a mechanical engineering student with a 3.9. 4 years in a row. He's been all academic whack. 4 in a row.
This carry by Lance Martin is first, and they figure to go with a 4 tailback rotation. We've already seen Staples, Davis, and now Martin. It's an area San Jose State absolutely must improve on. They were 99th in the country last year in running the ball, and that really held down what would have been an even more dangerous passing attack. In fact, the people weren't afraid of their run. RISLOV hit as he delivers a one-handed grab. Up the side goes Leon Pinky, and Leon Pinky has a touchdown. The backup tight end, originally signed with the University of Tennessee. RISLOV almost is sacked by Doug Williams' defense before he gets that off. He manages to get it to Pinky, who does the rest of the work, 20 yards to give the Spartans the first lead. Boy, tight ends get bigger and bigger. 6'3", 268 pounds.
And faster and faster.
Jeff Carr for the extra point. 7-0, San Jose State. 5 minutes and 16 seconds of the first quarter. Pinky backs up the more heralded Courtney Anderson, but after a one-handed grab and hard running, he has the Spartans on top early. San Jose State on a 20-yard catch and run by Leon Pinky has a 7-0 lead. Good job of escapability on display from Scott RISLOV to get this one off.
Scott RISLOV has excellent poise. This is another misdirection. He's got people in his face. It's a perfect throw. It is an outstanding catch by Pinky and a missed tackle by Aaron Bridges, the free safety for Grambling. That's a big problem for Grambling. In the secondary last year, they had too many missed tackles, and it's come back to haunt them at the beginning of this season.
Carr with the kickoff, very short. And bobbled up for grabs at the 25-yard line. With the Spartans signaling first that they have it and immediately refuted it.
Coach, I want to go back to your point about the missed tackling, and really, that's not surprising. The first game of the year, because of what you do during the summer camp, you don't get the same kind of game speed, you don't get the same kind of adrenaline flowing until you get in a game, and guys really don't have that same kind of practice. It's a different deal.
It's something you really can't practice without risking injury.
Right. This is the first of what Dr. Fitzhill hopes will become an annual literacy classic. Not just this game, but events throughout the Bay Area throughout this weekend, also coinciding with the 40th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech of Dr. Martin Luther King. Tim Abney with the catch for Grambling, close to a first down. In fact, he'll have it in a couple extra yards. Grambling meeting a Division 1A opponent. They haven't beaten one since 1985. They've never played San Jose State, and these two head coaches given the chance perhaps to follow up next year and play each other again out here for the second Literacy Classic. Fitzhill would like to make it annual, not necessarily always against the same opponent, but Grambling obviously is a good start to get national attention. Calvin Colquitt with his first catch, and that's good for 8 yards. Tuesday, ESPN Original Entertainment presents Playmakers, this critically acclaimed series about the lives of pro football players off the field, has its series premiere Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Playmakers is presented commercial-free by Universal Pictures' The Rundown, and is also available in high definition on ESPN HD. For more information, you can log on to ESPN.com. On second down and 1, Eugene looking long, pinballs around and finally has to throw it away. I've actually seen that premiere, and there's some really good acting in that thing, and I credit Bill Curry and your consulting work with the head coaching. I understand. You saw it, you made some suggestions, and they carried them out.
Our bosses sent out the tape, and I made a couple of comments, probably biased because I was a head coach for so long, but I'll tell you what the thing does. It has wonderful acting. They actually seem like football players, and they got the NFL paired. What it's like to be an NFL player, I had the privilege of doing that for 10 years, and they got it down.
Here's a 3rd and 1. And slamming up the middle. Michael O'Ree, backup tailback. Sophomore from Bogalusa, Louisiana, who carried just 4 times last year as a freshman.
Yeah, this really isn't Grambling's style of play, pounding the ball inside, but they needed to pick up a first down here. My sense is they're a little frustrated that they're out of rhythm. They had to pound it to pick up the first down, but you know, their SWAC style, coach, is to throw the ball deep. They haven't been able to do that because San Jose State has been sitting back in the zone.
Back in is TOLBERT at tailback with a marker down. A gain of 3 for Henry TOLBERT, brought down by strong safety Josh Powell.
It's interesting you're talking about the zone, because what San Jose State has been doing, we talked about the cat and mouse game with the coaches. Chris Wilkinson, the defensive coordinator, Wilkerson I should say, for San Jose, has been sitting back in that zone. Grambling State mounts a march, and the next thing you know, they got pressure. And every time they have pressured, which has been 3 or 4 times, they have gotten to Eugene. They've either sacked him or forced him out of the pocket.
5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
It's going to be 1st and 15 after the illegal motion. So this kind of goes back and forth. There's Chris right there doing a good job with his cat and mouse game. And what he's doing, the risk he's taking when he sends somebody is that they could get smoked deep.
Well, I think you have to send somebody when they don't keep any backs in the backfield. I mean, when they're empty, you got to go after them. Now they've got 2 backs. It's a different deal.
So after the motion, 1st and 15. And Ruben Mays gets his first carry. He's a freshman from Memphis. Another guy who had plenty of 1A offers. Tennessee, Florida, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Georgia recruited him. He was a 2-time All-State, the top running back in Memphis. 3,000 yards, 40 touchdowns as a junior and a senior. He wanted to go play for Doug Williams.
I can understand that. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I can too. I mean, you think about the tradition of Grambling State.
2nd and 12, swing pass, and Colquitt is immediately surrounded by blue jerseys.
When you see Bruce Eugene throw inaccurately, invariably he throws high. And that was one of his poor throws. He doesn't make many poor throws, but this is one. His receiver will come back and say, excuse me, Bruce, would you like to get that down a little bit? I'm going to get crushed if you keep laying me out there for people like Rod Gilmore to hit me in the sternum. Those little DBs love that.
Eugene spreading it out pretty well so far, but that means only 1 catch so far for Tremont Douglas. Top receiver in the country last year. TOLBERT this time, and he's knocked out of bounds a couple of yards shy of the 1st at the 39. He needed to get inside the 36-yard line and knocked out by Treston George.
Well, this is not the Robinson that we know and love. I mean, he's playing the dink kind of San Jose State game. That's not his style. It's not what he does. He completed 49% of his passes last season. Why? He throws the ball deep. He hasn't been able to do that yet. I'm sure he's frustrated by this. Bruce
Eugene can lay it out. He can throw it a long way, and every time I'm watching the tape, I would think he had outthrown Tremont Douglas. Tremont Douglas would go get it.
Eugene 5 out of 7, looking at a 4th and 3 when we come back.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday, brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
Spartan Stadium, which will have one of the top crowds in its history today. A pre-sold SRO crowd. That means up near 30,000 on hand. Grambling fans bought out their allotment quite a few days ahead of San Jose State's fans. In fact, they just sold out their final 500 yesterday, but everybody made it here. Here's a 4th and 3, and Grambling is turned away. They try to power Michael O'Ree between the tackles, and he goes nowhere.
Tony Ficklin, number 49, who is one of the iron men in the strength program, meaning that he can squat over 500, clean over 300, gets himself in the backfield and just blows this thing up. Boom, right there. Great job, Tony. Beat Jason Hatcher, the big tight end, who's trying to block down on those defensive ends. They have an angle advantage in a short yardage situation like that. Big play for this beleaguered defense. At least a year ago, it was a beleaguered defense.
Plays like that, you figure, especially early, have got to give them something they had very little of last year, confidence. Giannis Davis showing up again here in the first quarter, a gain of 17 yards for this true freshman.
Yeah, a little misdirection got him going as well. Again, he's a guy that they could not tackle in scrimmages. They figured that the same thing might show up today. And what a great story he is. You know, as I mentioned, him from Skyline High School in Oakland, grew up in a very bad neighborhood, and has come down here to San Jose State and gotten off to a good start.
Do you like him, Rod?
Oh, absolutely. What's not to like?
I do too.
What's not to like?
First down and 10. RISLOV looked left and threw it away, and JAMALL BROUSSARD's not sure why he did that. He was jumping up and down. He was wide open. Let's go down to Alex.
Well, Dave, when Fitzhill came up with the idea of the Literacy Classic, the university didn't want to fund the game. So he turned to these two gentlemen, Tommy Fulcher and Andre Chapman, to help him raise money to put this game out. Now, we know it's a football game. What else is the Literacy Classic, Tommy?
Literacy Classic is a creative tool that we've devised to attract our young people toward literary pursuits and academic excellence.
Andre, when Coach Hill came to you and asked you to get involved in this, what made you want to get involved in something like this?
Well, because when you talk about literacy, you talk about the impacts of illiteracy in our communities, us being both entrepreneurs in the community and focused on community-based organizations, this was a perfect fit into the coach's mission and his impact on his collegiate athletes here at San Jose State, really trying to create the whole student rather than just a football player on the field, but someone that's going to be an added value in society.
Great, gentlemen. Well, job well done. And, Dave, we know that this is a subject that is very near and dear to Fitzhill's heart.
Boy, he went on and on very convincingly and passionately about this. This is an issue that he cares so much about. And, again, it's part of a series of events around the Bay Area. Literacy Week in conjunction with the opening of a $177 million Martin Luther King Library. His thoughts about this game.
Why not use this platform as a way to address these social problems? Athletics, football, particularly basketball, it can do that because it brings people together. And that's the purpose of this game today, is to address the literacy problem in our country through a great cause and paying a tribute to Dr. King's legacy.
Well, on fourth down and almost 10, they have to punt. Bryce Partridge, senior, Livermore, California. There's a fair catch at the 10, and here comes a flag after the fair catch. Turned in by George Piggott.
Now remember, there is no halo rule anymore. A new change for college football. You do not have to give the 2 yards to make the catch. You can't interfere, but there is not a halo rule.
Dan Romeo and his crew indicating the penalty on this fair catch by Piggott for Grambling. They trail 7-0. Final minute of the first quarter. We'll show you again what in years past would have come under the old halo rule, which has been expunged from the book this year. Interference with the opportunity to catch was the penalty against San Jose State. Now Eugene back to work. A rather low thrown ball, but Henry Tolbert able to bring it in anyway. Let's look at it again, Rod, and why is this call made?
Well, in the past, this would have been a 5-yard halo violation penalty. Now, you see the guy being blocked. He didn't see the fair catch. He gets right in there and makes contact. Now, this is interference with the opportunity to make a catch, which is a 15-yard penalty. This is better protection for punt returners than the halo rule.
You sound like you were a punt returner.
I was an advocate for this change as well.
Okay.
So the penalty against Roy Lewis of the Spartans. Eugene throwing with plenty of time and delivers a strike. Tim Abney with his second catch. At the 43-yard line, he's got a first down. Tomorrow night, ESPN, your destination for Major League Baseball, as Ichiro and the Mariners will meet Nomar and the Red Sox. Both teams continuing to compete for postseason position. Seattle and Boston also available on ESPN HD. ESPN's new high-definition service now available nationwide. Call 1-800-DIRECTV or your cable operator to get ESPN HD. That's 8 Eastern tomorrow night. An overthrow this time intended for Douglas. Still with only one catch so far, and that's the end of the first quarter. San Jose State with a 20-yard touchdown pass. RISLOV to Leon Pinky, the difference in the first 15 minutes. Second quarter, San Jose State leading Grambling State 7-0. Spartan Stadium. SRO with the Grambling band getting set for their halftime performance. The San Jose State band deferred to their visitors. That was probably a very wise decision.
I think I would do that if I were another band.
Well, they had a pretty nice idea on that one, intended for Chris Day.
That's a forward pass.
Took his eyes off, couldn't bring it in to make the move, and it's incomplete.
You know, the thought of the Grambling State band performing at halftime has really energized the Bay Area here. You haven't had many sellouts at San Jose State, but the moment it was mentioned that Grambling State was coming and their band was coming, the tickets went fast.
So they have made it all the way from north central Louisiana. And we'll show you a little taste of their halftime show here. Just underway in the second quarter, third down. Eugene having to scramble and throw incomplete. Intended for Douglas. And let's look at our game track through one quarter. Lower scoring game than we expected. First career touchdown for the backup tight end Leon Pinky, the only score of the first quarter. As San Jose State came up with a big stop on 4th and 3. Grambling last year averaged 39 points per game. San Jose State averaged 29. I really thought coming into this one somebody might score 40 and lose. That might still happen. But
yeah, don't give up. We're just getting warmed up here.
Looking a little less likely. Flags before the snap to Darian Morgan.
One thing that's uncharacteristic about being in Northern California is it's hot down there today. And I remember, I remember coming here.
Before the ball was snapped.
Let's listen.
False start, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Number 90, Antoine Smith, who's a middle linebacker, who's a tackle on the punt team, not accustomed to sitting in there waiting a long time for the snap, and he popped out a little early. All these are early season things. Antoine coming into the game as the leading tackler, returning for Grambling State because the other guy who had a few more hits, Michael Dager, is not able to play. Number 26, the strong safety's out with a hamstring.
Only 34 yards with the win on Morgan's first try. 4th and 15. And another flag. Much better kick, too. BROUSSARD needs maybe one more block. Gets it out to the 43, and a nice open field tackle by the punter Morgan after a return of 31 yards on a kick that went 36 yards. But remember, there was a flag on the snap. Also an injury back where the return began. And another procedure penalty against Grambling.
Illegal formation by the kicking team. That penalty is declined. 1st down, San Jose State.
What that means is if they didn't have 7 men on the line of scrimmage, you can have more than 7, but you can't have less than 7. So somebody lined up in the backfield that was supposed to be on the line, and so we got a flag. But another great return, and then some really fine blocking being done by Tristan George, number 4. I mentioned number 4 on the opening kickoff, and he's really leading the way for BROUSSARD. He's a starting corner doing a good job on special teams.
This is Fred Wicker, a linebacker, injured for the Tigers.
Looks like he might have just rolled an ankle.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the return in early season. You see penalties and you see poor play in special teams, at least for the defense. Great return for San Jose State. Blockers picking off guys, a little picket fence setting up for him. And here you see it.
Number 4, Tristan George, got him sprung. You see Josh Powell, 33. Those are defensive backs. Those are good athletes that strike well in the open field. Right, Rod?
Every single time.
BROUSSARD's big return, and the Spartans take over. At their 45, Staples is hit by Petway after pickup of maybe 3. One of the major events surrounding Literacy Week here at San Jose State, and this is the new $177 million Dr. Martin Luther King Library, built in collaboration between the city and the university. And among the speakers yesterday, Bill Walsh, an alum, Doug Williams, all on the issue of diversity. The panel discussion, 40 years, almost to the day after the I Have a Dream speech by Dr. King in Washington, D.C. Rodney, you got to hear some of that dialogue yesterday. Nice job coming back to the ball by Starling. And Kendrick Starling, after the recovery, takes it another 15 yards or so and will net a first down pickup after it was batted up in the air by Calvin Arnold.
Well, Dave, it was a fascinating discussion yesterday about the fact that there are only 4 black coaches, head coaches in college football, dropping off from 8 from 5 years ago. And Bill Walsh and others had some great things to say about that, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, 8 in 1997 seemed like such a small number. Davis again. And another first down inside the 30. So 6 years later to have gone from 8 to 4, what does that say about where the industry is?
Well, the panelists had different ideas about that. I mean, Bill Walsh was very optimistic. His view was that the NFL is doing a lot, that there's some training programs, that there will be more opportunities. And they thought maybe in 10 years you'd see a significant change where you wouldn't have this issue anymore. Others were not so optimistic. People felt that you had to change the hiring practice. Fitzhill in particular said there should not be simply the athletic director making the decision. You don't hire the president that way. You don't hire professors that way. That you really ought to have someone else, a committee truly involved in hiring the head coach.
RISLOV. Well, that one's well sniffed out by Aaron Bridges, intended for Starling. So you have Fitzhill and Doug Williams. Williams from 1AA, and the group that includes, of course, Tyrone Willingham. 10 wins his first year with Notre Dame. Calderell takes over this year at UCLA. Tony Samuel continuing at New Mexico State. Hill here at San Jose State. And that's the club. That's the whole group in Division 1A.
Yeah, and a lot of that club have ties to Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh has done a lot for black coaches. We don't see many other coaches stepping up and doing something there.
On the toss sweep, Davis to the 29. Well, point blank, we asked Fitzhill yesterday, what has to change to get the numbers headed back in the right direction? He says, well, really, it's not about affirmative action right now. It's about affirmative winning. It's about whether Fitzhill can turn San Jose State into a winning program.
The American Football Coaches Association is also doing a great deal, everything within its power to encourage the universities to consider worthy candidates, and there are plenty of worthy candidates.
3rd and almost 10. Ball play out of the gun. Staples only to about the 26-yard line. We'll see if Fitzhill goes for it on another 4th down.
I want to follow up, too, because I talked to Doug Williams about Bill Walsh and what Bill has done. And Doug Williams said, you know, Bill Walsh has been responsible for a number of black head coaches in the NFL and in college. If more coaches who were like Bill Walsh were taking that action, doing the kind of seminars and pushing guys the way Bill Walsh has, maybe the numbers would be doubled or tripled by now. I think he has a good point there. I think there is something to that.
Jeff Carr from 43 yards out, and he's good. His brother Michael was the punter here the last 3 years. Jeff, a walk-on, a junior, has extended the lead for the Spartans with 11:45 to go in the second quarter. It's now 10-0. Now 10-0, San Jose State getting a 43-yard field goal by Jeff Carr, and still shutting out the top scoring offense in Division I 2A last year. Grambling, 11:49 to go in the first half. Yet to get on the scoreboard on a very warm day here in the Silicon Valley. Sold out house, Spartan Stadium, first meeting between these two. And the first game of the 2003 college football season. It is not, by the way, the earliest start ever for college football. It was a day earlier last year. The first game was played. We still haven't gotten your answer on the trivia question. Give me more than a quarter now. Grambling on the return by Chris Day. And they'll start at the 26-yard line. Fitzhill has a PhD, the only other doctorate working as a head coach in Division 1A. Rodney, you're close? Are you? I said he's from the Big 12 South. You need any more of a hint than that?
I'm thinking Texas Tech.
You got it.
That's right.
Mike Leach. Yep. In law, he has a doctorate.
How does Dr. Mac Brown sound?
Sounds honorary.
You want to know something? It probably sounds pretty good if Texas wins a whole bunch of games this year.
Yeah, well, Mac's a good buddy.
He's a good man.
Grambling with nothing doing on the ground so far. Eugene steps up, flips it. Looks like something they drew up in the sidewalk. And it works. One of their bigger gains of this first half so far as Kawan goes 17 yards. I don't think that's how it was actually drawn up during the week, but they'll take it.
Well, this is Bruce Eugene doing his John Elway impression. Since Elway's dad coached here, this looked like something that John might do. He realizes if he runs, they can light him up, and plus he's got a good runner right there, so just dish it to him like a good point guard, which is what Eugene was. He's a point guard. Didn't know that till Doug Williams told us.
Another screen set up, read beautifully this time, and Kawan is blasted by the free safety, GERALD Jones.
That would not be a good assist by the point guard, though.
No, it wouldn't. But that GERALD Jones is the defensive captain, or he's actually sort of the captain of the secondary, and you see him everywhere. They had a man coverage there, and obviously he had responsibility for the back, and he got up and beat the screen blockers, and those big linemen are very athletic for Grambling State, as Doug told us, but not good enough to block that little safety.
So second down and 12. San Jose State's defensive improvement, even against a 1AA opponent, has got to have them thinking maybe last year was the aberration when we were 115th in the country in total defense.
Well, the only thing more quiet than the Grambling offense has been the Grambling State band. They've been sitting in the corner end zone doing nothing, and the Grambling offensive line, they haven't gotten it going either. Not enough time to get the ball down the field, and the guys in the band are saying, what's up? We're used to seeing about 49 points in a ball game. We got nothing going.
And a tough third and long, staring the offense in the face again. They need 12 yards. Eugene, all day to throw. And a leaping attempt by Douglas, incomplete.
Starting to see frustration set in on the Grambling players now. Douglas is accustomed to catching a lot of footballs, and I don't believe he has a catch today. If he does, maybe one. Yeah, that's right. He does have one catch, and here's a chance. It would have been an outstanding catch. It wouldn't have been a great catch, but he should have come down with it, and he knows it.
1,704 yards, 142 per game last year, led all divisions, all receivers in the country. 1 for 15 so far today. We're going to roughing penalty here as the punt is down to the 45-yard line.
Oh, gracious. The roughing penalty. Darian Morgan ought to get an Academy Award. The guy touched his toe. It was Chester Coleman, number 86, touched his toe. He did a double backflip. There used to be a penalty for that.
But he got him with the leg up. And
running into the kicker by the defense, 5-yard penalty. Still fourth down.
At least they get to punt it again. That was a very short punt. If he had continued to run at a proper angle across the punter's foot, he could have blocked it. He was there. He was trying to back up. His own man bumped him into the kicker.
That wasn't acting.
He ran into him. But, you know, you got to call it because you got to protect the punter when he's exposed like that.
I agree. He got a little more of him than I had thought.
We'll see some acting this year.
Are you disputing me already,
well,
David?
Video told the story that time. We will see.
Now, calm down, guys.
Some award-winning performance.
Glad Golick's not here.
Man, 3,000 miles away, we're still killing poor Golick. Another flag down. Look at this punt. Sailing down to the 12. No return at all from there for Broussard. So this penalty thrown back at the line of scrimmage.
That was Antonio Rainey, number 25. Beautiful tackle.
Well, they went forward 5. Now they'll back up 5. We'll go back to the studio and Reese Davis.
Dave, coming up at 7:45 Eastern Time tonight, we'll take you to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City over on ESPN. The BCA Classic, Cal and K-State. Darren Sproul said as a kid it was always his dream to play in Arrowhead. He'll get his chance tonight, and you'll get a chance to see it.
That'll be a good one. As again, the 5-yard penalty announced here. Kansas State, preseason number 5. Big 12 has 3 of the top 5 in the coaches poll preseason. Kansas State under Bill Snyder has exactly 2 wins against top 10 teams. They have to play at Texas early October, and then should they win the North, they'll have to play Oklahoma or Texas. Whoever wins the South, probably a top 10 team, whoever that team is. So in other words, they'll have to do in 1 year what it's taken Bill Snyder in his entire career to do. 2 wins over top 10 programs. If they are to win the Big 12. Maybe this is the Wildcat team that can pull that off. That hits the back of the coverage man, Rainey, who made the impressive tackle on the last punt. Finally a punt with no flags involved.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday, brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers.
Here's the call. The left tackle is lining up in the backfield. You must have 7 men on the line of scrimmage. His being lined up there means that they have only 6, and that's the reason the officials are dropping the flag. Very alert officiating here early in the year, and special teams mistakes by both teams.
Finally, the Spartans take it after the short punt. And the ball knocked free, a helmet knocked free. Both roll across midfield. Still no recovery, and finally the Tigers come up with it at the 48-yard line. Joshua Kador at last hopping on that fumble.
That ball was just kind of stripped out of there. Now watch him cut back against the grain here. Broussard will cut back, and the ball just gets knocked out right there. And the bad thing for Grambling State, they almost lost this ball, Coach, because guys were trying to pick it up as the helmet rolls away. They were trying to pick it up and do something with it instead of just jumping on it.
Number 8, Octavius Bond, had a chance to fall on it, and he wanted to pick it up and run for a touchdown and missed it about 3 times. There he is.
Yep.
Whoops. Should have just fallen on it. Almost cost his team a chance to get the fumble. And guess who is involved again? Mr. Kenneth Petway, who is dominating this football game for Grambling State's defense.
He turned Broussard in. Antoine Smith caused the fumble. Eugene again under heavy duress and has to throw it as Josh Powell arrives on a safety blitz.
Now, Rod, Grambling State has not picked up the blitz yet. Not once.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, when they were first having success, 3 or 4 guys were coming in, they picked that up. Nobody stays in the backfield. They don't have anybody extra to pick up the blitz. And in addition to that, San Jose State is disguising and bringing someone different almost every time on the blitz. They bring him twist inside. They bring him from the corner, from the strong safety spot. They don't have a beat on where they're coming from yet.
Powell, they say, probably their best athlete on the defense. A lot of killer instinct. Plays like a linebacker. Just ask Eugene. Henry Tolbert bites off one of the best gains on the ground in this first half for Grambling inside the 39-yard line. It's going to be close for a first down.
Coach, is it just me, or when you look out on the field and you look for the quarterback, do you think he's missing? Because I keep seeing a lineman when I look in the backfield.
No, I've done Kentucky games. We've done Jared Lorenzen. He makes Jared Lorenzen. makes Eugene look like a munchkin.
I know, but you look out there and you go, wait a minute, where's the little skinny guy back there?
6 foot 260 by his own coach's admission. Ruben Mays breaks through the wall, and on 3rd and 1, give him about 8 yards. Tuesday night, ESPN Original Entertainment presents Playmakers. It's a series that's getting a lot of good notice about the lives of pro football players off the field. The premiere is Tuesday at 9 Eastern. Playmakers presented commercial-free by Universal Pictures The Rundown. It also will be available in high definition on ESPN HD. First down run again, the fullback Mays. Tough to bring down. Mays will give a couple yards of forward progress. Okumu and Powell together to bring down the 245-pounder.
I really like Mays because he has good fundamentals. His pads are down. He keeps his head up. He protects the football. And very often with a young back who's highly touted, he thinks he can swing that thing around. He has excellent fundamentals. Somebody has taught Mays the basics very well.
Well, size is not a problem for Grambling. They may be 1AA, but they're right there 1A size at every position across the field. Another quick rush, forcing an incompletion by Eugene in the neighborhood of Tim Abney.
Onyeka Osai clean in the backfield, and again, Grambling does not have an answer. You see coming at the left of your screen through the B gap. Outside Darryl Rogers, the right guard, number 76, looks a little confused. Later in the year, they'll be better at picking up these blitzes, but Eugene's not really getting a chance. And now he's getting frustrated. He's not getting a chance to do his thing because he's got somebody in his face every play.
He hit 8 of his first 10. He has now missed 7 of his last 9. He has a 3rd and 8 here. First of all, a timeout. One more left midway in the second quarter, looking for their first point, trailing 10-0 in San Jose. They are suited up and ready to perform. We'll see part of the Grambling Band halftime show. 7:51 to go first, though, here in the second quarter. And a 3rd and 8 for the Tiger offense. With some very effective adjustments by the Spartan defense since the first couple of drives. A floater near the 10, and we'll get a flag on this one. Intended for Douglas, and we'll have interference on Josh Powell.
The last thing we said is that Grambling did not have an answer. Well, they've come up with an answer. Coach Melvin Spears, the offensive coordinator, brought 2 backs into the backfield. They've been going an empty backfield. Pass interference, a very good call. But this time they had the protection. He still got hit, but he had a chance to get the ball thrown.
Defense 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Coach, I don't know if that was a good call. This ball is underthrown. Let's see. If he gets his head around, now you're right. It's a good call. No, I'm with you. It's a good call because the defensive back jumped and he never looked around. He was kind of face guarding, if you will, but that ball was underthrown. He blew it at the end. He could have made a play.
Man, you did a double clutch.
He could have made a play.
Don't make me tell these people what position you play.
But he could have made a play.
That's like me taking up for the center.
Yeah, that's never happened. First and 10 from the 14. Eugene keeping. He can move at 260. They will mark him out with a first down and goal at the 2.
Oh, when he comes around that corner with the full head of steam, you have to have a lot of heart to want to get in front of him at 260 pounds.
Yeah, that's a missed tackle by Philip Perry, who's the best defensive lineman that San Jose State has.
Well, now they're going to say he was out of bounds at the 8.
Look at him accelerate, though. Look at the speed the big man has. Coach Williams told us he could move. I'm not sure that I believe that he could accelerate like that. He had 543 yards rushing last year, all on scrambles.
They're moving back 6. Instead of first and goal, they call it 2nd and 4. And the short man, Tolbert, with the snap this time, a direct snap. Tolbert down near that 1st and 10 marker.
Ooh, that's really cool. The center gets to hike it to the other guy. That's single wing stuff.
Long snap.
That's single
kind of an intermediate snap.
Yeah. Now that's really something. He's not snapping the ball. It's almost like the Tolbert picked it off. I like that play calling. We're seeing Grambling is lengthening the playbook. Coach Spears doing a good job of play calling.
Still didn't get it. 3rd and 1 for the first down. 5 for the touchdown. Out of the gun, Eugene, swing pass. Nice grab by Chris Day, who fights hard just to get back to the line of scrimmage.
See, I've never been a big fan of quick screens like that down in this area of the field, Coach, because as a defensive back, there's not a lot of room. You don't have to go very far before you decide you got to come up and make a play. And if you're playing zone down there or man-to-man, you're coming in a hurry. They're playing zone. Now everybody rallies to the football for San Jose State. Good job.
Eric Wilson, number 21 on the play. 4th and short.
We're going to have another timeout and another decision to go for it. Ensure field goal range.
Very good timeout call by Doug Williams. Good time to come over and talk it over.
San Jose State with the timeout to discuss their possibilities. Actually, both head coaches were signaling timeout. Hill must have gotten his up first as they charged it to San Jose. We're ready. 4th and 1. Fumble. And the Spartans have another stop. They have thwarted 2 4th and shorts by Grambling here in the first half.
If you're Fitz Hill and you script what you would like to happen for your young defense that was just riddled a year ago, this would be the kind of thing. 2 short yardage situations against a big, physical, good football team, and you stone them both times. I know there were ball handling issues. Coach Williams is not at all happy with his football team because there's been too much sloppy play. But part of it is because the San Jose State defense is playing with great spirit.
Ruben Mays, not sure if he even
never had a chance.
Expected to get the handoff.
There was a miscommunication, and you think with the timeout that should never happen.
Wonder why don't they kick their point-blank range as a reason for that, too. Davis bounces this one outside, out to the 19-yard line. Brian Morgan, the kicker for Grambling, last year was 7 of 21. So even though that's very close range, you're Doug Williams, you would think twice about any kind of automatic field.
The year before, he was 18 out of 25, and he had a sophomore slump last year. He was a great kicker in his freshman year. Last year, he had what Coach Williams called a sophomore slump, so I think he might have been well advised to kick that one. But he was trying to make a point with his team that we have to make these short yardage situations, and he is not a happy man, and they know it.
Jonas Davis gets the first down. 3-step drop, ball batted down. It looked like by Cador. It's a big hand up. He was the man who had the fumble recovery, which set up the last unsuccessful Grambling scoring opportunity.
Cador has been active, and he did a good job there because it was a quick rhythm 3-step pass with a blocker around his knees, and he put his hands down, shed the blocker, leaped up, and batted the ball, and those things sometimes can go the other way.
Well, that first down that Davis picked up for San Jose State 2 plays ago was huge because it got them out of that death territory where they could actually start to operate their offense now.
Oh, they love him.
Starting to spread them out with 3 wide, another short drop. And a strike. Moving without the ball now is Broussard, and JAMALL is very close for another first down. A couple of feet shy. Let's send it down to Alex Flanagan.
Well, Dave, perhaps better known than the Grambling State football team is the Grambling State Marching Band. They perform in 3 Super Bowls, performed for Bill Clinton, and have also been in the movie Drumline. I'm with the band's leader, Larry Pinnell. Larry, what makes people love this band so much?
I think what has happened is we decided to come up with a style that's totally Louisiana. And what we try to do is give them a melting pot of some of the culture in Louisiana. Then we mix it with hip-hop. We mix it with traditional marches, Sousa marches. And then we put our own little tag on things like 270s to the left, 270s to the right, 360s. And it comes out to be just typically a Grambling style that once you see it in a high school band or you see it in some other historical black college university band, you say that's Grambling that they are trying to emulate there. And so it's just those ingredients that were put into effect some years ago.
And Larry, I know Rodney has some good dance skills. Can you give me a couple moves real quick for Coach Curry and Dave upstairs? They need some help. There you go, Dave.
Have to do it.
I'm going to need lessons. Tell him I'll meet him in the parking lot after the game.
I don't know if you guys can hang with these guys. They're amazing.
Often imitated, seldom duplicated. How about the first half in the first game of the college career of Giannis Davis? 12 yards. David Hicks the tackle. And on 8 carries, Davis has 63 yards.
He can dance. He's got good feet. There's no doubt about that watching him on the field. As we look at this flag that's holding up play at the moment, it looks like it's going to be a holding call.
Well, be that as it may, and it's a shame if that gets called back, because this young man who's a true freshman out of your high school, Rod.
Offense.
Sure
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
So it'll be 1st and 20 now, but Giannis Davis has demonstrated already that he's going to be a star. He's low to the ground. He has marvelous balance. He also protects the football, much like the young back Reuben Mays for Grambling State. And we've got 2 men here that we've seen that are true freshmen that have already demonstrated that they belong.
You know, he is a version of Deontay Whitaker, who played here at San Jose State, but he's faster. He's got more speed. He's about a 4.35, 4.4 guy.
1st and 17. Bubble screen. Look out. Starling spinning into the clear. Cutting back and fumbling. Grambling has another recovery.
Number 2, Aaron Bridges, making up for some errors earlier in the game. The free safety, Aaron Bridges, ripped the ball out after a marvelous run by Starling. Excellent pursuit and hustle, because the easiest thing to do if you're a defensive unit is just to let that guy go on and run it in the end zone. But Grambling State rallied to the football, and that beleaguered defense came up with a big play at a time when they needed it most.
Just count the Grambling players trying to get back into the action. There were about 8 guys running down the field. They didn't give up on the play, and that is so hard to teach. It's pursuit and not giving up. As you pointed out, Coach, they get in and something good happens for the guys who were hustling down the field.
Yeah, and Bridges is the guy that recovered the fumble, not the one who knocked it out.
Second turnover by the Spartan offense. EUGENE again, without time, without anybody open, and without a prayer. Philip Perry comes up with the sack. The first couple of series, guys, EUGENE had 8 out of 10, seemed to have rhythm. First year defensive coordinator Chris Wilkerson, in his first game running the San Jose State defense, made some very effective changes. What are they?
He's begun to bring pressure, playing some man coverage, blitzing, playing a zone behind it a little bit. It confused Grambling for a while. Now Grambling has gone predominantly to 2 backs in the backfield, although on this occasion there's only 1.
Under 3.5 in the half. EUGENE with some time, and one of the rare occasions he can actually set and throw. He gets off a high and outside fastball intended for Calvin Colquitt. Speaking of fastballs, they'll be coming your way at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific tomorrow night. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel. Ichiro and the Mariners, Manny Ramirez and the Boston Red Sox. See you in September. Seattle is still leading Oakland by 2.5 games as we start to wrap up the month of August. Boston by a half game over the A's in the wild card race. 7-6 Boston over Seattle today. Oakland winning in the ninth, 10-5 over Toronto. Again overthrown, intended for Colquitt.
And he's high once again, Coach. We've talked about that when he's in the pocket, he's not as comfortable, it seems, as when he's moving. And throwing that intermediate ball has been a problem for him.
His tendency when he's able to stand there, and first of all, today, that hasn't happened very often, and a quarterback gets a little rattled, so he's almost ill at ease when there is no pressure on him. He tends to drop his elbow, which elevates his hand, and the ball comes out high. That's happened time and again to EUGENE. You can bet he'll get it fixed. He has a great coach in Doug Williams to help him fix it.
Now let's see if they can fix these alignment problems that have been responsible for most of the flags on these punts. This time the acting job does not impress the referee, Dan Romeo. And Morgan gets a pretty decent bounce out of it all the way to the 19. 43 yards, his best punt of this first half. 10-0 San Jose State. $10-0 San Jose State with a shutout against the top scoring team in 1AA football last year. 3 minutes and 4 seconds to go before halftime.
And the preseason #1 pick in 1AA by some experts for this year.
So what about 1A? You like that choice of Oklahoma, #1 in the coach's poll?
No, I do not. I do not agree. I do not think they have the quarterback to get it done.
I don't know how you can not vote Ohio State #1 with who they have coming back, even if Claret sits the 6th game.
I did.
Broussard makes the catch. So you're clear thinking. I don't know how anybody can see an undefeated defending national champion return every offensive starter, most of the defensive starters, and not at least start them as #1 the next year.
Well, I think the explanation for that is people didn't believe that Ohio State was that good last year. They think that the Big Ten was not as strong as the other conferences, and so they didn't vote them as high. They didn't dominate Miami. But I agree with you. I think Ohio State should have been #1. They're the defending champ. They got guys back. You can't knock them off until somebody beats them, in my opinion.
We'll start with 6 straight at home, I believe, where they have to travel to Wisconsin. Swing pass, Staples. Ezekiel Staples powers his way inside the 35-yard line. 31 yards before another tackle by Kenneth Petway. Speaking of Petway, slow getting up on the bottom of that pile.
You can credit Scott RISLOV, #5. He set his feet, then he backed off. Excellent execution of the screen. The big lineman out front, Justin Narrington, #66. Justin, you're going to run for a touchdown, buddy. Hit somebody. Well, you don't have the ball. You look really nice running. I would love to run behind you. Everybody else was blocking you. You sure ran well. I kept expecting to see Justin bowl somebody over.
The film session will not be pretty on that.
No. They'll have some fun with him.
Almost exactly a 2-to-1 edge in total offense for the Spartans. Back to the ground, back to Giannis Davis. And he'll get about 5. Under the 2-minute mark we go.
He may be only 5'5", but he's not afraid to push a pile forward a little bit.
He's got those pads down. It's the same thing I said about Ruben Mays, except it's in miniature and he's quicker. He does not get hit and knocked back, even though he's a small man.
He plays with a lot of energy. He plays with a sense of urgency. You know, Fitzhill said yesterday, that guy, Davis, the freshman, he's a baller. He is just a baller. Straight out of Skyline High in Oakland, he's a baller. He just wants to get on the field and go.
Off the field for the moment. Throwing for Broussard and overthrown and incomplete. Let's check into the studio. Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, Trev Albert, Mark May here. Coming up at halftime, we will debut the Speed Rush, the quickest, fastest preview in college sports. Like, for instance, you're going to tell us who the most overrated team is.
Yeah, some people have them ranked #1 in all of college football.
I know one thing. If you speed rush against me, I'll stuff you at the line of scrimmage.
I just run around you.
We'll see who can come off the edge most effectively in just a few minutes, guys.
Where's your money? Mark May? Trev Alberts.
I don't bet on football. And that wouldn't be football anymore.
Shovel pass, Davis. Oh, what a block. Davis inside the 20, first down from the 17-yard line. A monstrous hit by Wooden.
Tuati Wooden did not look like a 3.9 mechanical engineering student there. He looked like a football player as he came back.
Yeah, I think he got Donald Alexander.
42, Donald Alexander, Tuati's #3. Here he comes, outside in, boom! Perfectly legal block. Football's a rough sport. Those receivers that play for Fitzhill know how to block.
Great possession here to go up 17-0 before the half. Leon Pinky with a flag down. Pinky, who has the game's only touchdown, a 20-yard catch and run in the first quarter.
I almost said something about Pinky's name and tease him about a pinky finger, but after watching him play, I don't think I'd tease him about anything. The man is a big, fast guy with really good hands, and he's the backup tight end.
Hey, when you're 6'3", 270, you don't get teased too often,
well,
do
if you can run like that and produce.
Penalty against the Tigers. He may someday have a ring for his pinky. That's the only thing that may have to do with his name.
Yeah, he may very well have several rings. Ryan Hudson is the player down for Grambling State, #41. And they're checking on him and just hoping it's something very minor.
You know, RISLOV has quietly been very efficient.
Illegal substitution by the defense. Penalty is declined.
When you think about RISLOV and his second season as a starter here at San Jose State, he's following in some pretty big footsteps with Jeff Garcia having quarterbacked here, Steve DeBerg several years ago. This place has produced some decent quarterbacks.
He's 13 of 19 for 196 yards and a touchdown. He's second and 1 with 47 seconds to go in the half. Davis to the 5, and from there it's first and goal. That stops the clock at 40 seconds. Both teams have one timeout left.
Rod, he has unbelievable instincts. When a lineman gets knocked in his lap, he just bounces to the outside or back to the inside. He's got that great, what Alex Hawkins used to call perennial vision.
Perennial vision, huh?
He can see everywhere.
I tell you, he's only 5'5" and 170 pounds, but he is incredibly strong. Lower body strength, exceptional.
Clock rolling, 27 seconds. RISLOV sets up the screen the other way, and Courtney Anderson, the tight end, will go in standing up. It's a day for the tight ends, both of them, Anderson and Pinky, with touchdown catches. This one, however, is being discussed, and it is coming back for holding.
Joe Hayes, number 70, the left guard, who, by the way, is the most improved academic student here. Joe's not happy right now because he just got called for holding. We'll get a chance to see it here in a minute. He doesn't approve of the call.
Offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat,
Joe,
first down.
They're not going to let you grab him by the shoulder pad. Seneca Lee, number 21, coming across, had a chance to make the play. Joe's got him by the shoulder pad, drags him down. Not a good decision by the big lineman. Out there trying to hustle and help, but you can't grab him by the shirt.
"20 seconds to go, no more timeouts. First and goal, 14-yard line. Coming up, always memorable, the Grambling Tiger Marching Band, which has made it all the way from Louisiana to entertain at halftime of the first Literacy Classic. We have 20 seconds to go before halftime.
I used to play a baritone horn.
Not like that, you did. Tried it that way again, you'd have to get replacement shoulders for your replacement shoulders.
I'd have to get replacement everything.
Ninth play of the drive. Petley has it back to the 14, still first and goal from there. And after a pump fake, going deep, end zone and incomplete. Intended with great coverage by Seneca Lee out there for Tuati Wooden. We'll hear from Reese, Trev, and Mark. College Game Day halftime report coming up. The latest on Maurice Claret, and we're starting to hear now the total number of games will be at least 6 as he is suspended. Preview for the season and a little taste of the Tiger Marching Band.
Let's see, 6. I think that might bring him back in time to play Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken about their schedule. If it does, it might not be so bad for Ohio State.
Batted down. Defensive stop by Terry Cooper, who started for the injured Michael Degra. Strong safety who has to sit this one out because of a hamstring.
Well, every really good football team that I ever coached or played on that had controversy, that had problems like the kind that Claret and Ohio State are having right now, every single time the team pulled together and played better. I think Ohio State's going to be formidable this year.
You think they're #1 team without Claret?
Yes.
I don't agree with that.
I think they are
think
because
so.
of Jim Tressel, because of Craig Krenzel, and because of great, great defense.
Tressel can't run the football.
Okay, watch the game, Rob.
To continue. Third down. Blitz. RISLOV still manages to get it off. That might not have been a great decision either.
No,
Could well have been intercepted or grounding. Travis Massey had him on a corner blitz.
A great call by the Grambling State defense. Great job. They're going to call grounding. Coach Michael Roach brought that corner blitz. It worked to perfection. Travis Massey coming off the corner. Very poor decision, which may take them out of field goal. The first poor decision RISLOV has made today. First of all, he needs to get rid of the football. Second, just take the sack, kick the field goal. Don't do that. He threw it into the back of a lineman. They're still going to try the field goal.
How about don't hold the ball, get rid of it? Just throw it away.
Yeah, that's what Doug Williamson teaches.
Well, they had a first and goal at the 5. This will now have to be, once they back it up.
To conserve time by the offense. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Loss of down. 4th down.
This will have to be a 46-yard field goal.
That's what I thought the official would do.
46, he hit earlier from 43. This is Jeff Carr, walk-on junior from here in San Jose. Out of the hold of Bo Pierce, good snap and hold. And the kick is no good wide right. So he hits from 43, misses from 46 with 2 seconds to go before halftime. Yeah, Doug Williams says that had to take 6 seconds. Dan Romeo agreed. And the first half ends with San Jose State leading just 10-0. With every reason to expect at least 3 out of that promising drive. They get nothing out of it. We'll send you back to Reese Davis and company in the studio.
From the Grambling State Tiger Marching Band, the baddest band in the land, they say. We're back after this. Grambling State Marching Band. Tiger Marching Band proclaimed the baddest band in all the land, performing halftime of the Literacy Classic. Their Tigers down 10-0 to San Jose State. Let's enjoy a little of that right now. Philip Bailey. Let's enjoy that. Earth, Wind, and Fire showdown. The Grambling Marching Band, San Jose State up by 10 break.
San Jose State leading Grambling 10-0 as we prepare for the start of the half before sellout right at 30,000 in San Jose Spartan Stadium. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Rod Gilbert. To me, the surprise of the first half was the fact that the second worst defense in the country statistically, San Jose State is shutting out the best offense in the country in one of the last year, Grambling.
That's right. They've really got them out of rhythm with a combination of zone and a lot of blitzing at just the right time. But I want to point out the fact that the Grambling State defense has kept the Grambling team in the game, Rod. I mean, they've given up 10 points, but they're staying in the game. They're making some plays. They're getting some turnovers when they have to have.
I think you're right, and I think the thing that has to happen now for both sides, but really Grambling, the coaches. What adjustments halftime? For Grambling, you haven't had a chance to get Bruce Eugene really going. He's got to get comfortable. And then Doug, your top receiver, he's been non-existent. You got to find a way to get him going in the second half, or else it's going to be a real problem for Grambling State.
Let's look at our game track from the first half. Jose State getting a touchdown on Leon Hinkey's catch and run 20 yards out, first of his career. And plenty of pressure on Eugene. Seems to be throwing from his back all afternoon. And finished the half hitting just 50%, 11 of 22 for 109 yards. Could be much worse than this. San Jose State went back to the opening kick, 71 yards. Got nothing out of that possession. Had first to go from the 5 toward the end of the first half. And ended up missing a 43-yard field goal. But better than 2-1 advantage in total yards. About a 5-minute advantage time of possession. Helping them come to turnover. And individually, Rod, they may start talking about your old high school as where Giannis Davis used to go. Not so Rod.
I was going to say his high school now.
It's already happened.
Then carries 71 yards in his first college game. Grambling returning Chris Day. Second half kickoff out to the 18-yard line. We'll see what adjustments Melvin Spears' Grambling offense has made at halftime. This is a group that threw for 358 yards a game last year. They got only 109 in the first half. Averaged 39 points per game. They're still looking for their first point.
Your offensive line has done a good job. There's just been a 4-man rush from San Jose State, but whenever there's been any kind of blitz, there have been people in Eugene's face.
Just a couple of possessions, and then Chris Wilkerson, the defensive coordinator for San Jose State, made some very effective adjustments. Up to Eugene and company counter now. They're run by TOLBERT for a couple of yards up the middle. Let's check in down below with Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Dave, well, one of the focus at the half for Grambling was to try and settle down Bruce Eugene, who Williams says is having trouble with his footwork. He said that Eugene is standing high when he throws the ball. He says he's not taking a step when he throws, and therefore that's affecting his accuracy. He says that he's hoping his team has worked through the frustration and that they will settle it. And like you said, Bill, he is thrilled with the defense that this team is playing.
Gotta be. Good report.
Offense leader in 1AA a year ago. Wide open. Gershon Jesse's first pass to tight end rolls over the cornerback Marshall Hendricks and gets 19 yards up to the 39-yard line.
Here's an example of what Alex was just talking about on the sideline. Watch Eugene. Watch his feet here. He does not take a step forward to throw that ball. He just sits, and then he just kind of dumps it there. And that's the thing that Williams doesn't want to see. He wants to riding forward, letting that ball go, as he did well.
He did it pretty well.
Eugene broke 10 Doug Williams single-season record last year. Shuffle pass, Jesse again. This time for about 9 yards. Melvin Cook and Marshall Hendricks. This time to bring down Jesse.
Well, Doug might not like that technique, but the results are not bad. And that's twice that the unsolicited shovel pass has occurred. It's called improvisation. That's what all great quarterbacks can do. I'm going to be interested, too, to see if Coach Williams get a little more fire out of his team, because he was not happy going in the locker room at the half.
Grambling's not a school that is unaccustomed to the spotlight. They play on national television at least once a year. The crowd's much bigger than this one. Eugene again punched as he gets that pass off. And here comes a flag. First day in single coverage with Preston George. And flag comes. The ball was overthrown by a good 10 yards.
Well, George bumped him while the ball was in the air. They actually kind of ran into each other, although I didn't think that ball was catchable at all.
Well, I sure didn't either. Check in quickly with Reese Davis.
Taco Bell update takes us to Arrowhead Stadium. Cal and Kansas State. K-State up by 7. And Taco Bell update. Red Johnson is making a go for the border. And Ben Strang at 34 yards. Touchdown. The Bears have tied it at 7 first quarter.
7-7 there, still 10-0 here, and boy, is that bailout call. San Jose takes 7.
And did you hear that? Dave agrees with me. Pass interference. Bad call.
That ball's catchable. Another flag sailing from the secondary.
Well, I agree with you, but I'm so used to goalie. I'm trying to think of a reason to disagree, because I never could agree with a big fella.
Williams waiting for this indication from Dan Romeo.
Illegal block below the waist by the offense. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
I didn't see that, but it usually means that a wide receiver or a wingback is coming back toward the ball and blocks below the waist. You can block back toward the ball coming from outside in, but you have to do it above the waist.
Every time it looks like the Tigers have a little something going on offense. Look up, you've got 1st and 15, now 1st and 25. Continuing their own worst enemies. And one of the few throws that's been right on the mark this time, but it's incomplete. Right in and out of the hand of Kendrick O'Neal.
Yeah, O'Neal just didn't get his head around fast enough. As a wide receiver, when you run this route, you got to whip your head around quickly. He's a little slow getting his head around, didn't quite pick up the ball fast enough. You get your head around faster, keep your feet moving, you make a catch without having to dive.
And he had the DB back on us, the DB on a swivel too, had him turned.
So 2nd and 25. EUGENE again chased. Got it off incomplete. Right for his life all afternoon. This time the pressure from Josh Smith.
And he's been doing a lot of running, and Doug Williams was telling us yesterday that he has a graduate assistant who was trying to teach his quarterback to scramble. He says, no, don't do that. You can't teach a quarterback to scramble. He must learn it. He's got to get it under fire. If anybody knows about that, Doug Williams knows about it.
He does. He played at Tampa Bay before they were Super Bowl champion contenders. He was the #1 draft choice in the National Football League when he went there.
Ran for life.
But he wasn't surrounded by a great deal of help.
That was an interesting thought I've never actually heard expressed that way. You, by definition, can't practice a scramble. Here's a deep ball, single coverage, and another flag.
That's going to be offensive.
Same matchup, Day against George, and this time it's Trent George celebrating.
Now they're going to call George. I don't think it's going to be offensive. I think they're going to call it on George.
Well, I'm telling you, they ought to call it on Day because he grabbed him, turned him, and pulled himself inside by grabbing the defender's jersey. George.
The one thing you know, though, as a corner is that you can't get involved in tic-tac hand fighting down the field. Now, they may call it an offense.
No foul on the play. There was no intent to impede. The players got tangled feet.
That's what they should have called on the last one.
Good call. You're right.
This was not a good call. Day committed offensive interference. Watch this now. The guy in the white shirt, Michael Day's going to grab. You see the left arm and the right arm, and he pulls George. The feet were not tangled. He pulls him to the outside, jumps inside, and gives him. Watch this here, right there. That's illegal.
You got both guys with their hands in there, and I'm just saying that as a DB, they're probably going to flag you if you get your hands in there when that ball's in the air, no matter how incidental it is.
Should have flagged Day.
I agree with you. It should always be passing to a wide receiver.
Don't start that.
Oregon gets off a high, short effort. Just 28 yards. Fair call at the 25-yard lines. Look at it one more time. A no call, not necessarily a good no call, though, in a 10-0 game. Nothing. It remains. San Jose State takes over at their 26-yard line after another short rambling punt. Scott RISLOV has had a lot of success with screens just like this one. Ezekiel Sipples and RISLOV 15 of 24. That gets him over 200 yards through the air. Last year he ended up with more total offense than Craig Krenzel, the national championship quarterback of Ohio State. A better pass efficiency rating even than Eli Manning. Had as many as 408 yards through the air in the upset win at Illinois. Quite a touchdown pass against Utah. Add up his 2002 season. It was 6 and 7. That was disappointing. Here, South Dakota had enough moments that they figured, even though he's not one of the best-known senior quarterbacks, maybe one of the best senior quarterbacks this year.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, this guy doesn't get a lot of attention. Plays in a conference where there are other pretty quarterbacks who throw a little bit more, have a little bit more success, and he gets overlooked quite a bit. And this is his second season as a starter. I think he'll get more attention. Certainly, this game helps him. People see he's a very polished quarterback. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes back there.
Hey, how about number 5 last year for Iowa? Red Banks, also a junior college guy. He did rather well.
RISLOV, a psychology major with a 4-point average. Top scholar after the team. That one's incomplete. And this possession goes nowhere. John Broussard, brother JAMALL, the better-known wide receiver, the intended target here.
Early impression in the second half. Body language, quickness, both defenses playing better and harder, Roddy. Both defenses have stopped drives. That's significant start in the third quarter.
Punt by Bryce Partridge. Not much wind anymore. It's pretty much died down. Good return by George Piggott, who is marked out of bounds at the 47-yard line. 44 yards on the kick, 20 on the return. This first Literacy Classic in conjunction with the opening of this beautiful facility, Martin Luther King Jr. Library. $177 million joint project, collaboration between the city of San Jose and San Jose State. Dr. Fitzhill pushing hard for this game to be added. And I don't think too hard to convince the NCAA to get behind the subject of literacy and make that the subject of the first football game of the college season. Henry TOLBERT on this catch. He'll lose about 3 yards, and so this is the first. He hopes it's something that becomes an annual occurrence. Grambling, they're talking about bringing it out here for the same thing next year.
Well, it's important for San Jose State for all those reasons Hill talked about, but there's another reason for it as well. You know, the changes in Division 1A, where you have to meet the requirements next year of having at least 15,000 people attend games. San Jose State is in danger of not making that. A sellout here, this game helps them and would help them every year in the future to maintain that 15,000 average.
EUGENE again has to bolt. Only picks up about a yard. Got a much more favorable schedule this year, Rod. Last year he had only 4 home games and played 5 bowl teams. And 13 games without a single week off. 13 in 13 weeks. That really becomes a marathon. And this year it's 11. They've got 3 off weeks sprinkled into the schedule this year.
A lot of frequent flyer mileage last year. 26,000 miles plus to travel back and forth across the U.S.
And they picked up a lot of money playing those blood games where you had to take a beating but get paychecks so that you could balance your budget.
On 3rd and 12, a strike. And Douglas has the first down yardage at the 40-yard line, knocked out by Eric Wilson, a gain of 15.
Now that's the first time in recent memory. I don't think this has happened at all in the game. Nice protection, a 4-man rush. EUGENE sets his feet, sets up, moves slightly to his left, and guns the ball, steps into his throw, still throwing a lot with his arm, and, you know, Coach Williams will get that straightened out, but he completed the pass to his big receiver.
And you see Douglas feeling the softness of his own to the outside, recognizing it and going to the spot where he could be wide open.
Second catch, he broke Jerry Rice's SWAC single-season record last year. Calvin Colquitt for short yardage this time.
You know what we haven't seen, Coach, is any trickeration really involving Douglas. Coaches told us yesterday when we asked them, hey, what happens if Douglas isn't touching the ball? They say, hey, we got all kinds of stuff.
We got gadgets.
Yeah, we're gonna bring out all these things and find a way to get him the ball and get him loose. But we haven't seen the trickeration yet. Nothing to get him going.
No, and that's up to, of course, Doug Williams, but Coach Melvin Spears, the offensive coordinator, player down on the field.
I think this is Douglas.
It's a cramp. It's a cramp. The way they were working his ankle, you get those cramps that jump into your shins and curl your toe up and you can't run. I'll tell you, it's hot down there. Grambling State is used to the heat. Heaven knows, working out in Louisiana, but this is unusually warm for this part of the country here.
We get our share of good weather in California.
Hey, I'm not criticizing the weather. I'm just saying that if you're a football player, this is a
warm. It's a little warm. Yeah.
Second down and 3. See how long they have to do without Douglas. They say he's such a hard worker. He has lowered his 40 time from 4.7 to below 4.5. Now that doesn't maybe seem like much until you actually try to do it.
Well, it seems like much when you're watching tape, and it looks like EUGENE has really overthrown Douglas, and he just puts it into another gear and goes and gets it. He did that. I saw that happen at least 3 times last year, and I only watched a couple of games. So he has the ability to do that, and Grambling is just waiting for the opportunity to be able to protect one of these blitzes and put one up.
3rd and 3. Eugene hit as he delivers again. Had to hurry into an incompletion intended for Tolbert. Roy Lewis on a corner blitz, and that's been the story of the day.
They're bringing him off the edge. They're bringing him in the B gaps. They're bringing him from every direction, and this time Eugene doesn't recognize that it's coming, and so he takes a shot, a very clean shot, but when you're not expecting it, that can rattle everything.
San Jose State fans got to be beside themselves. A shutout midway in the 3rd quarter.
And punting on 4th and 3 from the 30-yard line.
It's a flag again. Put a flag on almost every punt by Grambling. Most of them on the line of scrimmage for alignment issues. This one may be another one. Procedure.
Illegal formation by the kicking team. That penalty is declined. First down.
7 minutes and 55 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. 2 of the best known athletes in the history of San Jose State. Olympic sprinters, objects of much controversy in 1968. Tommy Smith and John Carlos when we come back.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday, brought to you by Sprint. Introducing PCS Vision. Clearly a whole new way to look at wireless.
Midway 3rd quarter, and San Jose State still leading 10-0 as they take over at their 20-yard line. And a short gain for Staples. 1968 Olympics, the names Tommy Smith and John Carlos were as prominent as any in the sprint events in Mexico City, and not just for what happened in the sprints. You were medal winners, but you gained the attention of the world by making the power salute and really garnering quite a bit of controversy after that. Now, years after, something I've always wondered, were you surprised at the reaction of the world? Did you think it would stir up as much trouble and controversy as it did? Did you mean for it to?
Again, in magnitude, we knew that something would happen because for every action, there is a reaction. And we knew there was something that happened. So we were ready, we were steady for the windmill after. So we knew something was going to happen because what we did was meaningful to us and to others because it was not a protest against wrong. It was protest against who were protesting the wrong of the right. So we were there to do a job. And the job was done, was sent from above. It wasn't us. I was scared. Carlos was scared. In fact, we didn't want, but we had to do.
John, do you consider that a success?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. First of all, I think that it was the act of God what took place. Relative to whether we were afraid or concerned about the after effects, I don't think we had a concern about what the people thought at the early stage because something new is always going to make people a little pretentious and a little nervous. But in time, everyone had a chance to search their minds and souls as well and to come to the conclusion that what we did was the right thing opposed to doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, it was a human stand. It was the only project of human rights, not a hate. We had no malignant effort at the flag at all whatsoever. It was a platform which was designed years before. It was a thought of. It wasn't a reckless at the moment, 2 young guys, young black guys getting up and trying to become famous. We already had a 12-war record between the two of us, so it wasn't about fame. It was about right versus wrong.
I have a question. Surely a lot of young people were empowered to do things that they wouldn't have done had you not had the guts to do what you did. Have you been approached by people who have said, I saw what you did and it spurred me to do more about things that needed to be addressed?
Of course, and this is why. We were approached by youth today, youth before. We were also approached by the other side, who couldn't see the right because of their malignant idea of 2 young black guys doing something embarrassing America. Right. We knew that there was going to be both sides. So when you do something you think is good, you have the platform to do it, you ask to do something, we did it, and we knew that there was going to be 2 sides.
You didn't have any illusions about it being easy to take that stand.
Yeah, my thoughts to your question is I feel, first of all, that many individuals that have gone on to college and continue their education to become lawyers and doctors and people involved in the educational field based on the strength that they feel that we've given them. Many individuals of color, people of color, felt they have always had the mental intelligence to be who they wanted to be. It's just a society was not set up to let them be who God set the pace for them to be.
How is that act viewed now, today, in your view, when people approach you, or history? How is it regarded now? Do you think it's different?
Well, we're talking about the educational process now. It's not taught in the school, so it's almost by word of mouth and what you see on television. So there are some who understand what was going on, some who see it and don't understand, and there's some who, even if they didn't see it or heard about it, it was a malignant thought. Because it was done on a worldwide screen, and it wasn't done with our hands of our heart, but it was done from our hearts.
That particular demonstration was embossment. It embossed the society to the point where it was raised above the norm, where people had to take note and had to make decisions within themselves as to whether I'm a bigot, or whether I'm a liberal, or whether I'm a Christian, or whether I just believe in every man should have an opportunity to support his family in life.
At that point, there were many more outspoken athletes than there are today. Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the two of you, many others in the late 60s. And there don't seem to be as many prominent athletes who are willing to take political stands today. Is that a disappointment to you?
Let me put it to you like this. The field this year in communications had the forebearers before you that was involved in communications. Howard Cosell, if they never shine light on him, Brian Gumble, any of these individuals, young individuals would never have a means to step up to say, I want to be involved in communications. After the era of Tommy Smith and John Collins and Kareem and Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown, these individuals, they pretty much buried that. They took the tar and put over the road, so to speak, to bury this. So a lot of young kids that's involved in sports today, they don't have a track record, so to speak, to say, hey, man, I can immortalize myself after these individuals because I feel what they was doing was the right thing.
Doesn't that make what Fitzhill is doing more important even than it ordinarily would be?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You got to be pleased with this football team and the way they're responding to his coaching with his staff.
Absolutely.
Well, more than the football team, I'm pleased, first of all, by, the school taking the initiative to go against the grain and go get a young individual, 36 years old, to make him the head coach, to bring him in from the South when they had so many other individuals that were head coaches prior to him. This was his first head coach's job. For him to come in and all the kids rally around him, and for him to make it a point to say the first thing that we're concerned about more than winning football games is to see that you get straight with your education. The second thing, to see that your morality is right. The third thing, to see that you have Christianity into your life. And the second and the fourth, probably most important thing would be to say we're here to win games. And I think we're setting the precedent today with this game.
He is bringing a legacy here, a legacy of pride, a legacy of education, and a right for all. There's a man standing out there, and we've stood in those same principles. He's in late 30s, and we're almost twice that. So we know what he's going through. And I just thank God for him and for San Jose State, because it's a great honor here. I
would like to invite all the people to come out October 16th. This particular October 16th, they will acknowledge who the artists will be that might be involved in building this statue that they're putting on the campus of San Jose State. Those of you that might have extra pennies in your pocket that you might want to send out a donation for the literacy program, or if you'd like to send a check out to help the empowerment of this new statue that they like to build on San Jose State campus. As well, thank you, ESPN, for allowing us to be a part of your family.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor and a pleasure. John, Carlos, Tommy Smith, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Tyler. Thank you, John.
Thank you. John Carlos, Tommy Smith, Olympians from San Jose State, which continues to march. Timeout, 3:28 to go in the third quarter. San Jose State has had more chances than you'd think looking at a 10-0 scoreboard. Here's one of their best, though. This will be the 11th play of the 64-yard drive coming up. It will be a 2nd down and 2. Similar to the drive that ended the first half, when at one point they were looking at 1st and goal at the 5, went backwards, missed a 43-yard field goal. Let's see if they can finish the deal here. But so far, this has been maybe the most impressive drive of the day. And they go with a reverse. Starling cut down. What an open field hit at the 30 by Leonard Patton.
Wow. You see the big man accelerate. Leonard had contained on the backside. His job was to be sure that if a reverse came that way, He got up the field and at least turned it back in. Well, he did more. Here he comes, number 98. He starts down the line of scrimmage, explodes. The quarterback's supposed to try to block him. RISLOV has no chance. Big play by Leonard.
Yeah, he got away with one there because he went inside the blocker. And when you go inside, you better make sure you make that play, because if you don't, that thing bounces outside, and Starling would have been gone for a long way.
That wasn't a blocker, that was a quarterback.
LSU and Auburn recruited Leonard Patton. I wonder if they were aware he is the cousin of Eddie Robinson. Where else was he going to go? 2:29 to go in the third. Do the Tigers have another stand in them?
Intelligently. A reminder from Smirnoff Ice Triple Black Premium Malt Beverage, proud sponsor of Matt Kenseth and the number 17 car.
A 3rd and 16 coming up. Tuesday, ESPN Original Entertainment presents Playmakers. Premiere of this series is 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific Tuesday. Playmakers will be presented commercial-free by Universal Pictures The Rundown. It'll also be available in high definition on ESPN HD. This is a record crowd, 31,681. So it is beyond capacity at Spartan Stadium. Tigers still bring them out no matter where they play. Here's 3rd and 16 for RISLOV out of the shotgun. All 3 receivers left. RISLOV with time to go deep, and somebody had a miscommunication. Wooden was the nearest target, but he cut off the pattern about 10 yards short.
No, there was a coverage that was misread either by the quarterback or by the receiver, because there are adjustments that are made in mid-route. So if a corner squats, or if the quarterback perceives the corner has broken down and bent his knees, then the receiver's supposed to go along. And what happened is RISLOV and Wooden miscommunicated there. Can't tell who made the mistake, but it was one or the other.
So after missing from 43, hitting from 46 in the first half, this is a 47-yarder, and it is good. Jeff Carr nails this one, and it's 13-0. Fitz Hill has 335 yards of total offense and a 13-point lead. Well, Grambling again looks as if they might crack and finally give up another touchdown. They back him up and force Carr to try a 47-yarder. And Bill, how unusual to hit from that distance with a high snap.
Very high snap. Wonderful job by number 16, Bo Pierce, the holder. Jeff Gordon is normally a terrific long snapper. Jeff's the starting left tackle and was a high school All-American, or rather a junior college All-American center, but that time he had a poor snap. They got it down, got it kicked. Nice job, nice mechanics, especially by the holder, Pierce.
Still with your Grambling, though. Happy to hold him to 3, which they have done twice, and held San Jose State without a point on the penetration down to their 5. They've been outgained by almost 2-1, still just 2 touchdowns back. Let's go back to Reese Davis.
All right, David, Taco Bell takes us to Arrowhead for the Cal-Kansas State game. Sturdy Golden Bears on the move. Jonathan Mackinnon a little end around on 3rd down. It's going to be stopped short. Now goes for it on 4th after the quarter game.
Okay, what you have to do right here for Jeff Tedford, Reese, you've got to kick the field goal.
You got to go for it. You got a young team. Go ahead and build some excitement.
They did not score. It's 10-7, guys.
Oh, Bill, don't you have to take the points?
No, you got to go for it. How many times is Cal going to get down there against Kansas State?
Act like you'll get there again and take the points.
That's why you have to take the points.
You knock it in the end zone and teach your young team that's what we're going to do. If you get stopped, you stop them.
2 against 1, we win.
I like that call.
That game is over now.
Calvin Colquitt for about 8 yards.
Let me ask you this. I learned this from Coach Bobby Dodd. When I kicked a field goal in a situation like that, I was at Georgia Tech. We were playing Auburn. He said, son, how many times did you think you were going to get inside the 5-yard line against Auburn? You needed to go for the touchdown just to have a chance to win the game. They still got 99 yards to drive, so maybe you stop them and you block a kick and you score anyhow, but you don't kick the field goal from the 1-inch line.
Well, nice catch and run here in some traffic. Brian Carroll gets it up to midfield and beyond.
Can't go there with you on that one. You're a 27-point dog. You got a chance to tie the game up and continue it on, and you don't take the points. Now you're down 10-7. The other team, who knows what might happen now. If you kick the field goal, you still got 2 quarters to play.
I think you're really, really a wonderful person, Rod. You're a smart guy. You're a Stanford attorney. You're a very good friend of mine, and this time you just aren't right.
I'm going to keep working on you on this one, man.
Corey Brownfield makes the catch. Rod, we win. It's 2-1.
Yeah, you're right. What was I thinking? Okay,
yeah, but
all right.
I'm like some of those judges you stand up there in front of.
Declare victory.
I got this gavel.
Move on.
Grambling moving with a first down. Final minute now of the 3rd quarter. Finally over 200 yards total offense. EUGENE harassed all day, so going to quick tosses before the pressure can get to him, and his 3rd straight completion. Brownfield again.
I am so impressed with how San Jose State has frustrated Grambling, taken them out of their offense, pretty much eliminated the vertical game, eliminated the threat of the speed of their wide receivers all day.
They really have. When they've been in the zone, they've given them the short gains. They've closed on the ball. They've kept them from scoring. When they've been in the blitz, they've been able to get to the quarterback, and that's what you have to do.
That's a better than average percentage for Bruce EUGENE. Tucks and runs. First down and plenty more. Down to the 32 as time runs down to 9 seconds in the 3rd quarter. Biggest thing they've done is take the best receiver in the country statistically last year, Tremont Douglas, and virtually eliminate him from the plan. 2 catches for 30 yards. That's it.
Well, I think Rod said it. I mean, they got to have some gadgets to get it to him.
They'll run out the clock in the 3rd quarter. Grambling down 13, but driving for a record house at Spartan Stadium. Fourth quarter, first game of the year. 2003 kicking off with the Literacy Classic and 13-0 San Jose State with 15 minutes to go.
This is the time for Grambling to put one up. I mean, first down, 33-yard line, get it in the end zone quickly to start the 4th quarter.
EUGENE slings it over a man he had open in single coverage, Brian Carroll.
Yes, he's sick because they did exactly what, and it was not a tough suggestion to make. It was such an obvious time for that. They had it, and he couldn't get it off because they couldn't block him up front.
Well,
Pressure.
But now they know. I mean, when they get that situation, they're running zone blitzes, fire blitzes, they're playing soft behind it. Only every now and then are they giving them a man. They got to know this now and pick it up.
Well,
you got to get it right.
That's right. That's what they have to do.
2nd down and 10. Henry TOLBERT in motion. And then takes the draw. Unable to slip out of the tackle at the 28-yard line of Gerald Jones. And so another big 3rd down coming up for Doug Williams and the Tiger offense.
You know, you see Doug Williams on the sidelines, and you can't help but look over there and think about Coach Robinson when you see Doug Williams. See the way he prowls that sideline. It just conjures up all those days, all those seasons of seeing Robinson on the sideline.
One of my heroes. I want to tell you, I want to put his career in perspective here after this play.
3rd and 4. Incomplete. Again, Carroll defended by Jones. Well, Doug Williams replaced the all-time winningest coach in history, 408 in the career, spanning more than half a century of Eddie Robinson.
I was born in 1942. Eddie Robinson was the head coach at Grambling State University. I grew up, played football 20 years, coached 22 years, got out of coaching when I was 54. Eddie Robinson was still the football coach at Grambling State University.
Wow. 44-yarder, a low liner. It is no good for Brian Morgan.
He won 408 games, and his former players, many of whom are good friends and teammates of mine, tell me every day at 6 a.m. he got them up to do what? Go to class. A very high percentage of them graduated. I'm not sure anybody will ever do anything like what Eddie Robinson did at Grambling State ever again.
That's exactly what Doug Williams told us yesterday. He's getting the kids to graduate, but he says there's no way in the world he's going to coach at Grambling half as long as Robinson coached there.
Well, I said, how do you walk in his shoes? He said, you don't. You just bronze them. And you make them into you put them up on a pedestal, and you just hope that you can live up to the legacy of Coach Robinson the best you can.
Tigers again come away with nothing. And now Lance Martin, a junior from Stockton, California, on the first down carry. Back to Reese Davis.
Cal stuffed on the goal line. K-State 13-play, 98-yard drive. Roberson to Wilson.
Cal demoralized, Mark. They don't kick the field goal. Now they give up the nice touchdown. Look at L. Roberson. Beautiful play.
I'll take those odds of going 98 yards on any drive to score, Graham.
The offensive guys wanted to go for it. The defensive guys wanted to kick, Dave.
Let's see if they'd only taken the points when they were there.
Dave, let's move on.
Okay.
We'll just move on.
We
don't need to say anything.
All right. Let's look at our game track. There are late flags. This may be the latest flags in history. And I think they're pointing at Octavius Bond, the corner.
Now, part of the deal was, when I said that a while ago, is you don't give up a 98.5-yard drive. You stop them and make them punt out of the back of the end zone. So get my full message.
But, you know, they can do that because they're Kansas State.
Well, they did it today.
And that's why you're Cal.
It was over. Dead ball. Personal foul by the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, Octavius Bond did that in a very poor spot, right in front of the referee.
Yeah, and in front of Doug Williams. And Coach Williams already wasn't happy, and now he's less happy because it was just totally unnecessary. What happens in a game like this is your temper starts to fray a little bit, and you think, I need to hit this guy, and I mean, the ball's right here, and I just go ahead and hit him. We've all done it. Octavius will be better at that sort of thing after Coach Williams works with him.
From the 45, first down. Short toss. May turn into a long gainer for Starling. Tiptoeing and finally stepping out at the 24. Kendrick Starling almost kept his balance all the way. He'll settle for 31 yards as it is.
We talked about the offense being frustrated for Grambling. Well, the defense is. You saw the late flag there, and then a little lazy play in the secondary. 3 quarters, your offense hasn't done anything. Watch the corner out here. He's sitting on his feet, waiting for the ball to get there, waiting for the catch, waiting for something to happen instead of making the play. Seneca Lee did not challenge, did not attack. Aaron Bridges ultimately makes the tackle. But watch this. He's waiting, watching the ball. Go drive to the man. That's where the ball is going. Drive to the man.
Stepped out right at the 24. First down from there. RISLOV has the screen set up for Davis. And Giannis is inside the 5 and driven out finally at the 2. It's first and goal from there.
Oh, he's all that.
I'll let you talk about Giannis. The big guys, Matt Cantu and Justin Arrington, 76 and 66, out front providing the blocking.
He is all that. He may only be 5'5", but man, he plays with such intensity.
Oh, he's wonderful. He is a wonderful player, and it's his first day as a college player.
Hey, he's 3 weeks into this deal.
Imagine you're his coach and hoping you can keep him 4 years or at least 3.
The 5th catch, 68 yards. And now looking for the goal line, leaning forward. Did he get there? Yes, touchdown.
That is your 170-pound goal line running back.
Well, that's your 170-pound, 1 foot off the ground, 100 miles an hour goal line football. That's just a football player. It doesn't matter what his size is. He would be a great player at any size. This guy's gifted. He sees everything. He sees everything.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of him.
San Jose State has not had a 100-yard rusher for 16 games. They never had one last year. They may have one today. He's 65 yards now, 13 carries. Try for 2 is broken up by Jermaine Mills. So they'll settle for a 19-0 lead. A drive that features the freshman from Oakland. Gets him down there close and then finishes the job himself. Giannis Davis with the first of who knows how many touchdowns he'll score for the Spartans. Didn't get the 2 points. They do lead 19-0.
And he is a remarkable story. Young man grew up in a tough neighborhood in Oakland, saw his father lose his life in that neighborhood. First kid in his family to graduate from high school. And this is his debut.
Well, he is gifted, and he's expressing his gift with every ounce of his being, and his teammates are going to appreciate it. And these stands are going to start filling up, too, for San Jose State.
Jeff Ferrier on this kick. And a return by Pickett out to the 27-yard line. Let's look at our game track now with 13 minutes to go. Who would have thought Grambling would still be shut out? The story of the day has been the pressure on Bruce Eugene. Somehow he still managed to hit 20 out of 37. Davis, terrific catch and run to get him down to first and goal, and then carries it over the last 2 yards. What an impressive debut it has been for him.
You like the way he got low on that touchdown run?
I loved it. I got all fired. That's just body lean. That's just gifted. That's just football.
Eugene finding the open spot in the middle of the field for Carroll. And up to the 44, gain of 17 yards. Gerald Jones on the tackle.
That's the weakness of the 2-deep zone. If they can just protect Eugene, they can eat him up down the middle, force him out of that and back into some kind of blitz package, at which time maybe they can get it go up deep.
The one thing that San Jose State did well last year was force turnovers, and another try for Carroll, incomplete, broken up by Jones. Terrific at intercepting the ball, not at much else, and they've been very aggressive, very successful at harassing Bruce Eugene today. Let's check in with Alex down below.
Well, Dave, one of the most inspirational stories for the San Jose State team has been that of their teammate, Neil Perry, who 3 years ago suffered an injury. His leg was broken, and he had his leg amputated below the knee. His goal all along has been to come back and to play football. First, tell us, how close are you to reaching that goal?
Closer than I've ever been. I'm getting ready, man. I wish I could be out there today. You know, my teammates voted me a team captain, and you know, I just wish I could be out there.
I know. I've been watching you. You have a lot of blood and sweat.
That's got to make Neil happy. A 46-yard interception return by Gerald Jones. Third in the country last year with 8 interceptions. We talked about it. The one thing they did well last year was come up with picks. They did almost nothing right in 2002. But the shutout now added with a defensive touchdown scored by the senior from L.A., Gerald Jones.
Well, you can.
They so often serve at the behest of Billy Bob Big Bucks, the booster. And those are the people so often who aren't in the headlines in the hiring process, but very much in control of the hiring process.
Absolutely. Those phone calls to the president saying, look, you hire my guy or you lose the $20 million for the library. And those are the guys that pull the strings. And I've actually had this conversation with people close to programs in the southern part of the country, but I don't think it's limited to the South. I've had people say to me, well, if we hire an African-American as an athletic director or as a head coach, it'll ruin our fundraising. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. But that is the argument of the people who still are so stuck in their rigid thinking that they can't understand why Fitzhill isn't wonderful in every way for a program. So we just got to get through that laminated thinking so that there are boards of trustees that are willing to do not just the right thing, but the thing that is actually best for their team and for the graduation rate and for the university.
Well, it is a particular problem in the South, too, when you look at the SEC, which has never had a black head coach. You know, personally, I think, you know, we may have a black president of the United States before we have a black head coach in the SEC. But some of the things that have to change are more than just the boosters, because I don't think the boosters really have the incentive to make the change. I agree with Mark and Trevor. It'd be nice to start there, but I think you got to have a couple of other things happen. I think you have to have more guys like Bill Walsh who are actually pushing and making something happen from the inside. And then I think you need some agitation from the outside. I think that's going to have an impact on it. And Ted Leland, who's the athletic director at Stanford, mentioned that yesterday in our panel discussion. He said, hey, you're going to need some civil rights groups and the like doing something as well.
Well, I think there's going to be some agitation of another nature, and it's the reality. I think somebody in the vicinity, whether it's the South or wherever, is going to hire an African-American coach that starts whipping everybody on top recruits, and people are going to look around and say, you know what, and much like what Coach Bryant at Alabama confessed, he said, look, when Sam Cunningham and Anthony Davis came to Legion Field and ran for 500 yards, I made a decision that I had been wrong, and I started recruiting African Americans. Things like that are going to happen. Coaches are going to do a great job, whether it's Fitzhill or Tyrone Willingham or whoever it is, and practical people are going to say, what, we can't live in the dark ages forever. And that is a kind of agitation. It's called economics. It's called winning. So all of that has to happen.
Wooden, by the way, the injured Spartan. NFL Live, presented by Expedia.com. Coming up, we're near 8 minutes to go, 26-0, and San Jose State continues to march with a 3rd and 5. RISLOV, well delivered again. The tight end, Courtney Anderson, is down to the 10, and from there it's 1st down and goal.
Well, Coach, I agree with you. Your comments, I think, are entirely appropriate. Obviously, it's going to take a while. I mean, I think Bill Walsh said yesterday, 5 years, he'll see numbers changing in the NFL, more head coaches, and he thinks in 10 years that it'll be really good in the NFL. College, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
but
college,
it is, we're not going to solve it today, but we need to keep working on it.
Well, we're going to. And colleges will follow the NFL's lead. Colleges follow the NBA's lead in selection of African-American coaches. It's just the facts of life. People don't want to admit that, but that's how it works. And I'll tell you another thing that I hope that will happen is that we'll have more people like Fitzhill that will go into coaching, because I had good coaches on my staff. Walter Lewis was one of them, who was the first African-American quarterback for the University of Alabama, and a great person, an engineer, and I went and begged him and recruited him and got him to coach on our staff. But he left coaching, and if he had stayed in, I think he'd be a head coach by now. I just think quality people, Rodney, you need to go into coaching.
How about more Super Bowl MVPs? Yeah. That wouldn't hurt.
More people like Doug Williams, and I think that's going to happen. I really do.
2nd and goal. Added down. Well, I go to a comment that Bruce Eugene made. He was asked who his heroes are. He says, all black quarterbacks in the NFL are my heroes because they all paved the way for me. And 15 years ago, Doug Williams was an exception. He was the first African-American quarterback in the Super Bowl, much less to win it, become MVP. Now that's not nearly as unusual.
Not only is it not unusual, but who are the stars? Donovan McNabb, Mike Vick, those guys are the stars now. Nobody even thinks about it anymore, and that's what we have to get to. And all of the things we've mentioned must occur, and probably some things we haven't thought of.
3rd and goal. RISLOV with a shovel. Grambling has it bottled up very nicely. And Davis gets only a couple. Doug Williams, Washington Redskins against Denver. End of the '87 season, and he went absolutely nuts in that game. Ended up a 42-10 Redskin runaway. Near perfect, especially in the first half, and Williams named MVP of Super Bowl 22. This will be a 25-yard effort now. Jeff Carr handles the angle. And it's 29-0. 6:07 to go. San Jose State dominating in every aspect of the game here in the second half.
9988. That's 800-420-9988 for the Wall Street Journal.
San Jose State, believe it or not, last year gave up 39, or Grambling averaged 39 points per game. San Jose State gave up 36 points per game. You'd never know it from either end, the way the Spartans defensively have performed here today. Let's check in with Alex.
Well, Dave, the heat is kind of subsiding a little bit, but it's already taken its toll. Osmar Staples, San Jose's offensive tackle, has been taken out with cramps, as has Tavares Conji's defensive lineman for Grambling State. They are both out for the rest of the game, Dave.
Well, it's not that surprising you're having cramping problems here. I don't think was supposed to be much above the mid-80s, but it felt a whole lot warmer than that yesterday, and at least that warm today.
It was hot down there on the field. passed out. I had to carry him back up there.
Chris Day may have fumbled. Was he ruled down?
We bragged so much on the San Jose State defense, and justifiably so, but Charlie Roach, the offensive coordinator, has got to be pretty thrilled with his guys, other than some really big mistakes close to the goal line. That could cost them football games in the future, but they've executed much of their offense extremely well. They've been patient. They made a couple mistakes, but they didn't make 10 mistakes. They didn't make 6 mistakes. They made 2. Kept them out of the end zone, but they managed to get drives down and get them in the end zone here in the fourth quarter.
He's got to be happy with that. But this time of the year and next week for a lot of opening games, you'll see mistakes like that defensively. You'll see poor tackling. You'll see problems in the kicking game. That is what you find early in the season, along with cramps because of the heat.
Right.
From the 24. Eugene consistently throwing high, although that one was catchable for Tim Abney. And Eugene now right at 50% for the day. 22 of 44, 201 yards. They have only 40 yards on the ground, and San Jose State 114 rushing yards, 321 through the air, 435 total.
Back to that subject of whether or not African Americans can do one thing or another. That quarterback situation in 1987, following the 87 season, Doug Williams had been splitting time with Jay Schrader, another quarterback, all year, but when they got to playoff time, Joe Gibbs, the head coach of the Redskins, said the team is going to belong to Doug Williams. And Doug quarterbacked all the playoffs. They won the Super Bowl. That was a decision by somebody who took a stand because it was the right thing for the team, and he gave a guy a chance. The next thing you know, African-American quarterbacks are winning the national championship at Georgia Tech. Sean Jones was a quarterback at our school, and many, many others. Donovan McNabb, that we've already mentioned, Mike Vick, people who would have been, somebody would have moved them to receiver before.
Yeah, you're right. The black quarterback is no longer a question.
It's not even discussed.
Yeah, exactly. And Doug Williams told me yesterday, he said, winning that Super Bowl game means more to him now than it did back then.
Because a lot of guys in the NFL and in college and in high school got to play quarterback.
That's right.
As a result of that decision by Joe Gibbs.
Eugene, after keeping for the first down, going back to Abney. Well, Doug Williams knows the difference between coaching 1A and AA.
At the 1A task, I think the football coach probably only coaches football. And where I am, you become more than a coach. You become a counselor. You become a father, the financial aid director, the admission director, and a mom every now and then you have to be coach.
Well, like I said, Eddie Robinson used to wake up guys 6 a.m. day after day, year after year, decade after decade. Eugene somehow stands his ground, gets off the pass for Jesse, who can't do his part and haul it in.
It's just turned into one of those nightmarish days for Grambling State, and they had trouble getting in rhythm from the very beginning. San Jose kept them out of their rhythm, and now they're doing it to themselves. Even when Eugene can withstand the hit and just take it like a man and throw a perfect throw, his players are still dropping the ball.
Yeah, but when you're a corner, you don't expect to find a 260-pound quarterback when you come on a blitz. You expect to be able to knock him down. You can't knock this fella down when you're 165 or 170.
I saw you snicker. Was that a little deja vu?
Oh, they wouldn't send me on those.
Time finally. Jesse does make this catch. Comes up a couple of yards short of the first. It'll be 4th and 1.5 or 2. NFL Live is coming up next. Chris Hill says he thought his San Jose State program had turned the corner before he ever really got charge of it. He thought in '99 that it was going to be onward and upward. Well, wrong. They won 3 games in 2000. So his goal last year was, let's just compete for a bowl, and they came within a drop punt snap from succeeding in that quest for the postseason. Return across the 30 to the 34-yard line. So his goals beginning this year. Number 1 goal, win the WAC. They picked 4th. Number 2 goal, educate and graduate. I don't think he'll rest until he succeeds at both of those. Number 3, have fun. And he's, as we have discussed, got the perspective necessary to know what the difference between football and really serious stuff is. He learned that in Desert Storm. And number 4, make the most difference. He says he doesn't want MVPs. He wants MDMs, most difference makers. And he's talking about out in general society.
In life, teaching kids to read, being a good example, behaving yourself in public, being polite.
New quarterback Bo Pierce, replacing Scott RISLOV with a very solid day. And Staples cut down. As we look at Bo Pierce, junior, Orchid, California. Threw only 14 passes last year as a sophomore. It's an impressive specimen, 6'3", 226 pounds.
Well, if RISLOV can continue to have days in the future as he had today, San Jose State has a chance to be a factor in the WAC. And the WAC has some pretty good teams. Hawaii should be loaded this year. Fresno State will be good. But with this added dimension of a running game now, San Jose State could be a sleeper in the WAC.
Ball batted down by Ken Bailey, the defensive tackle.
Well, I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not doing this just to be polite. I think there's a good chance that Giannis Davis could be the MVP, not just for San Jose State, but in the WAC this year. I think you start getting him loose on screens and letting him run little option routes on linebackers. Can you imagine what that he could eat you up? He could generate 250 yards a game.
And he's going to open up the passing game for those other guys out there, which is why his presence can make a big difference in this offense.
Oh, man. You play for guys like that are not just normal players who force the defense to adjust what it's doing because of their presence. And there aren't many people like that.
Well, a lot of Pac-10 schools went through Skyline and saw him on tape, and they liked what they saw. Then they walked up and saw that he was only 5 feet 5 inches tall, and they said, sorry, that's not going to cut it for us. San Jose State said, you can play, buddy. You're a player. We'll take you.
Well, they're going to be sick. Those schools and he may have come here anyhow. I'd like to think maybe he would have, but they'll be sick because he can play for anybody.
Good pressure on the punt and no flag. And the punt is down to the 33. 3 minutes and 23 seconds standing between the Spartans and a rare shutout win. 3:23 to go for a Grambling team that never scored less than 20 points in any game all of last year. They won 11 of their 13. Flag is down. Ball deflected away from Eugene and no whistle, and that is being called apparently a fumble and not an incomplete pass. Sean McNamara came with the pressure on Eugene. Remember a marker before the ball was jarred loose.
Penalty is declined. Ball is ruled a fumble on the field. First down.
Well, Coach, the rule on that kind of a play is if there's any arm motion forward, then it is not a fumble. It's an incomplete pass.
That's correct.
So the question is, was there any arm movement forward? If there is, it's an incomplete pass. So you watch his arm. Does it come forward at all?
Nope.
No, it never came forward. He raised it back, but never had any forward movement. Good call by the official.
Good call by the official, and yet another mistake by a defender for San Jose State, because the big fella, Smith, thought he was going to run for a touchdown. He needs to fall on the ball because his hands belong on a clock. He couldn't possibly hit that thing up.
Smith with the recovery. Back to work now, Davis. You know, looking at the scoreboard, it's just got me wondering, when was the last time San Jose State won in a shutout? And
I bet the counselor knows. I bet the counselor. I don't know.
Hey, this is California. This is my area. I kind of know.
You know?
15 years ago, 1988, UNLV. Last game of the season. San Jose State recorded a shutout.
See, I knew. We went to the right source.
You got to take me along with you guys.
You guys got a good legal assistant.
16 years. 15 years. Really, that's batted down at the line of scrimmage. And again, Ken Bailey.
Now, the bad thing about the San Jose State defense working on a shutout is that they've shut out the Grambling State band. And we heard them at halftime, and they had it going at halftime. You know, Coach was up here shaking his tail feather and everything, and the band was going.
Well,
but they've been quiet.
That came to an end.
But nobody wanted to see that. But There's Chris Wilkerson, a very happy man, trying to keep his game face on and keep from smiling for another 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Don't think we'll see any more passes for the Spartans. Back to the running game, Lance Martin. Let's go down to Alex.
Well, Dave, San Jose State will be the first team to have their name etched here on the Literacy Classic trophy. Now, you can see it. It has a statue of Frederick Douglass on it. He was a leader in abolishing slavery and the first black citizen to hold high rank in the U.S. government. The quote on the trophy reads, "Though conscious of the difficulty of learning without a teacher, I set out with high hope and a fixed purpose at whatever loss of trouble to learn how to read." A very appropriate quote for today's Literacy Classic, Dave.
How do you follow Frederick Douglass?
Hey, quote Fitz Hill, "You can't lead if you can't read." That's what he teaches his men and teaches youngsters.
They've led from the outset today. Had some missed opportunities in the first half. Some missed field goals, the 1st and 5, in which they got no points, but much better job finishing their opportunities here in the second half. And I told us yesterday that despite the fact this was a sellout, despite the fact it was on national television, that if they didn't win, he was a failure. If we don't win this game, I have failed. People want to hear from winners, not losers. And he will not fail in this first Literacy Classic. Joshua Kador is the injured Grambling lineman. Had a fumble recovery in the first half of the Tigers. Well, the gap between 1A and 1AA may be just a little bit bigger than we thought it would be today. I thought it would be a higher scoring game, much more so on Grambling's end. I never thought this would be a shutout for either team. Monday Night Countdown with comprehensive analysis, interviews, highlights, up-to-the-minute NFL news, and live reports from the site of ABC's Monday Night Football game, along with an in-depth look at the Monday night game, and it's a preseason special, 8 Eastern, Colts-Broncos coming up. Well, they are still throwing, and Leon Pinky, who had the game's first touchdown. With 43 seconds to go. Right at the 10-yard line. NFL Live will follow in just a moment or two.
Well, Coach, you know, we've seen this every season. Team makes a great improvement from week 1 to week 2. And you can bet that Grambling State will get back on track in their next ball game. And I would not be surprised if they go on to record their 4th straight championship.
Well, they lost a big game early last year, McNeese State, 52-20, and came back and won 10 in a row. So they certainly know how to do that.
Hit me again with it. First shutout for San Jose State since
1988, UNLV, final game of the season.
15 years later, they shut out the top offense and won a year ago. Not a bad debut for their brand new defensive coordinator, Chris Wilkerson, who took over the next to last ranked defense in the country from 2002. And the largest crowd in Spartan Stadium history, 31,000 plus, finishing this one on their feet as the Spartans shut out Doug Williams and the Grambling Tigers 29-0. Coming up next on ESPN2, NFL Live with Dave Refson, Mark Schlereth, and Sean Salisbury for Rod Gilmore, Bill Curry, Alex Flanagan, the rest of our ESPN. Dave Barnett, so long from San Jose, California.